What's up, party people? Welcome to GameFace, or as I'm going to call it today, GTA Face. That's right. Just this morning, they launched just the second trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. Had to scramble a little bit to get the show ready, but we've got it in the show. We're going to discuss it. Also, don't forget, the game was delayed just a week ago. So we're going to discuss all that. Alongside me to do that, of course, is the one and only Matt Keil. What's up, Matt? I like the new haircut.
Thanks. There's actually several of me, it turns out.
You're a clone.
Well, no, there's a lot of other Matt Keils.
Oh, you mean in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's a pretty common name.
More common. I mean, the last name is more common than you'd think. And actually, this week I got a friend request from somebody named Matt Keil.
Oh, really?
K-E-E-L, who I've never heard of before, but a little message said, "Hey, name neighbor."
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's not a thing. But it is nice to finally see who everyone on the phone has been asking for all these years, because that's how everyone pronounces
That's hilarious. I've only run into one other, not run into personally, but I've only ever heard of one other Shane Satterfield. It was a black guy. Which is interesting. But yeah, but not many Shane Satterfields out there.
Never run into a black Matt Keil, I admit. It's about as white as names gets.
Yeah, I thought Shane Satterfield was too, but apparently not.
Man,
so
you never know.
You don't run into a lot of Satterfields in general. That's not a very common last name.
No, it's not. I know a Satterlund, but I don't know any other Satterfields.
Yeah. Growing up, everybody called me Sean because because when I was growing up, Shane, no one was named Shane.
Interesting.
It was very rare. And so everyone just called me Sean. Hi, I'm Shane. Okay, Sean.
I
just got used to it after a while and just stopped correcting people.
I knew one Shane in elementary school, Shane Ramirez.
Yeah.
But
Hispanic, sounds like.
Yeah. But
we run the gamut.
But we didn't have... we had all as Seans, but we didn't have any Seans spelled that way. They were all S-E-A-N.
Yeah. Even like fathers of girls I've dated would call me Sean like months later.
That's weird because there's a movie.
Right. And I was named after the movie, actually. So...
and they say the name a lot in that movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the thing, isn't it? It's a whole big moment in the movie is them just yelling the name over and over again. Well, anyway, welcome to GameFace. Hope you guys are having a good week. It's been a crazy week. We got some big news to talk about today. Obviously, as I said in the show open, we're going to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6. It was delayed, and then a few days later, Rockstar put out a new trailer this morning, and we got all that stuff ready for the show. We're going to talk about Xbox's price is increasing, which, again, is something we're just getting used to now that never used to happen ever. And we got a couple big games to talk about. We're going to talk about Borderlands 4. It had a big state of play. We're going to talk about Revenge of the Savage Planet. We have an awesome show for you guys today. Even though there's it seems like other than the stuff that's in the show, it is very quiet right now in the industry. A lot happening. It really is. We were kind of saved this morning, honestly, by this GTA trailer coming out. We were already going to talk about it because the game was delayed, but now we have other stuff to talk about. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, or seen some of the screenshots, we have all that in the show today, and just wait. Because if you haven't seen the screenshots yet, holy crap. That's all I'm going to say about it. How's your week been, Matt, other than getting an awesome haircut? You look very collegiate with your new cut.
Yeah, I guess so. It was a very, very Ivy League. No, it was all right. I'm trying to think. I saw Thunderbolts.
It looks like people are liking it.
It's all right. I like it.
Only all right?
It's pretty good. I mean, it's not like upper echelon Marvel for me because none of those characters... I don't care about any of those characters except for Bucky and Yelena. And Bucky's barely in the movie.
Right.
It kind of just horribly underwritten Bucky.
Really?
Which I was like, you kept him out of Captain America 4 for that?
Yeah.
When you could... I mean, they had such... him and Anthony Mackie had that good relationship they built up through the course of the Falcon Winter Soldier show.
Right.
And then they just didn't do
Pay
anything
it off.
with it.
Yeah.
And I guess I understand by the end of this movie, okay, you're setting up kind of a little mini civil war between him and Sam on the different teams, but I don't know. It was just sort of okay. I tell you one thing, Marvel should probably contract up Florence Pugh the way they did Downey Jr. and Evans because she's one of the only things they have going right now.
Wow.
She holds the whole movie together by sheer charisma. She is it's her movie anyway, but she's one of the only people they have right now that I think Cumberbatch's contract is up, that you see that she just throws herself completely into the role and like goes for it in a way, and just like, she's really likable.
Like they all should be doing.
They all should be, but also not all of them have the material to do that with. So
Fair enough.
She does have a better script to work with than I think the most recent. To be fair, I have not seen Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh.
I had tickets opening night, but it was storming here, and I had to keep my balcony from flooding.
Oh.
And I just never got back around to it because everyone kind of was like, yeah, it was
because
all
the
right.
Reviews, yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, it was all right, and I was like, I don't care what reviews say, but like my friends were just like, yeah, it was all right, it was pretty good.
What your friends' reviews?
And I'm like, yeah, well, and like, like,
I'll wait and watch it on video.
I ordered it. It's coming. I think it should be here like next week or something. But like, it was just one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna have to go see it by myself.
Yeah.
And I don't really care. And like, also, it's not really. I like Sam as Captain America. Like, that's a version of the character I enjoy. But like, it's really a sequel to the Incredible Hulk movie from 2008, and I'm like, I didn't really like that. I didn't like the Ed Norton Hulk all that much. I appreciated that it finally showed the Hulk fight a monster for the first, instead of like CG dogs or like nothing. But like, in this, at least the Abomination him square off in Harlem at the end of it. But it's like, I don't get, and like,
one thing I'll say, Matt, is you have definitely paid your dues into Marvel. Like, if you want to skip a film or two, that's A-okay.
It's the first Marvel movie I didn't see in a theater since Thor 1.
Right.
And like, honestly,
you've done your part.
Some alarm in Kevin Feige's office should have gone off when that happened. Maybe it didn't because they still got my ticket money, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because I had to miss it.
They're like, we've lost Matt Keil.
Yeah, we lost him. It's like, red alert. It's just, and I don't, hot take, I don't think Harrison Ford was a very good recasting for that character.
Yeah.
That is not a replacement for William Hurt, especially since he wouldn't grow the mustache.
Right.
Sort of key. Like, in later appearances of the Red Hulk, it's so key that he keeps the mustache as the Hulk, which I think is very funny.
It is funny.
I don't know, just, like, that's not a storyline I felt the need to follow up on, and I just,
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go see it now. I'm trying to talk to you.
Well, you can't see it because it's gone.
No, I'm talking about Thunderbolts.
Oh, Thunderbolts?
Yeah.
I will say the Sentry stuff is good. Like the way they do the Void is very good. One of my friends I saw it with, we came out and she said it's her favorite Marvel movie.
I saw a couple people say it was like in their top 3 or whatever. I was like, okay.
A lot of the people that are saying that, including her, say it because they think they handled the Sentry and the Void is basically, and always has been since the character premiered in 2000, has been a metaphor for depression.
Oh.
Like, very much that void that sneaks up, it creeps up on you and takes over you.
Right.
And she, her, and I assume a lot of the people that really like this one think that they handled that very well, and they did handle that very well. And the Void is portrayed very creepy. It's a very cool way to do it. The way he like zaps people into the void is really unsettling. Like, it's actually inspired by the silhouettes of people in Hiroshima after the bomb. And and the soundtrack. The one thing I would say that's where the theater experience is good for Thunderbolts is the bass when he makes people go thump, like ash out is like.
You
and you're like, oh, it feels very final.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Closing the door.
It's some pretty dark imagery for a Marvel movie. So I think that was pretty good. And the other thing that I noted is because the Void is like basically the dark version of Sentry, and they portray him as basically they paint that poor actor all black, and he's just got like eerie glowing white pupils.
Oh wow!
And he's very creepy looking.
Yeah,
he's actually very good. That's Bill Pullman's kid.
Oh,
he's playing that. He also played his name is Bob. The Sentry's real name is Bob.
Yeah,
and so they just call him Bob the whole time. But that actor, Bill Pullman's kid, also played Bob in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh,
so he just plays.
That's
Bob
all he plays.
Now.
That's his little,
so you got two
role.
Nepo babies in this one. You got him, and you got U.S. Agent. You got who's Kurt Russell's kid,
right?
Who sounds exactly like Kurt Russell.
Oh,
every time
really?
he opens his mouth, and someone's like, "Where's Kurt Russell?" I was like, "Oh, it's you."
That's funny.
But like, that's very cool. That was very well done. And there's a couple scenes where like the Void is like hovering menacingly over New York. And I'm like, where's Spider? What does Tom Holland Spider-Man even do in this universe? Where is he? But he's hovering there, and he's a classic superhero. He's like kind of their take on Superman to some degree, or variant. And so he's got the cape, and he's sort of hovering there like Superman. And I'm like, how sad is it that every time I see a dark, menacing, brooding, caped person hovering over a city in a movie, I'm just going to think of Snyder's Superman.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was. A giant, brooding, menacing monster.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
it's like, it's really sad.
Yeah.
And I hope James Gunn's Superman movie in a couple of months erases all of that.
I think it's gonna.
I think it will.
Yeah.
And I think Fantastic Four is going to... the audience reaction to the Fantastic Four trailer was big.
Oh, good.
To my
Hopefully it
surprise,
delivers.
I mean, I hope so too. I'm really excited that Galactus is mostly practical. Like they built miniatures and just had a guy stomp around in a Galactus outfit, which I'm like, that's the way to do it. Yeah, Godzilla fans are going to be back for that. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care about the Fantastic Four. I've never cared.
I have
about
not
the
been a huge
Fantastic
fan.
Four.
Yeah.
I mean, I recognize how important they are. They were the first, Marvel Silver Age. They started the Marvel universe. They're the original, the first family of Marvel, and da 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 da. But I've never read a solo Fantastic Four book.
I mean, I have, but
I've never I've had in single issues from like crossovers or whatever, but
Right.
I've never read Fantastic
Their own
Four to
stuff.
any great degree. I know a lot.
it's
of the
been
story.
around for a while.
Been around longer than anything, except for Namor, and Captain America.
Right.
So it's like, so just but I hope it works. I hope it comes up because the important thing you get from Fantastic Four is Doom.
Yeah.
And
Because that's going to change.
Marvel Universe needs Doom.
Yeah,
and
I
I don't
agree.
mean Robert Downey Jr. Doom.
Yeah,
I mean real Doom.
Yeah, my favorite enemy in all of Marvel.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Also, Matt is going to review a movie for us a little bit later in the show. He went to see the Until Dawn film, which that was last night, right?
Yeah.
You don't seem too enthused about that.
Definitely not. It's no Thunderbolts. I'll tell you that much.
So we'll have another movie review a little bit later in the show. A couple things before we get going. Just a reminder that SIFTD's 10-year anniversary is coming up on June 5th, 2025. Unfortunately, that day is falling on a Thursday. We're still figuring out all the stuff around that. We're going to do some stuff for it, obviously. It's a big milestone for us. I can't believe it's been 10 years since we launched this thing. That really blows my mind. But anyway, we're going to do some stuff. Just a reminder, it could be on Thursday, it could be on Tuesday, but there's some stuff coming. I hate to promise this, but I think I'm gonna. I think we'll finally stream on both Twitch and YouTube for our 10th anniversary. We're going to get that sorted out and figured out. And then the question becomes, like, how do we interact with both chats at the same time? That's something I have to figure out.
In my experience of YouTube chat, you don't.
Yeah, because it goes so fast.
It goes super fast, and you can't control the trolls. And
yeah, the thing about YouTube though is that, like, so I think I mentioned this last week. Like, I'm a fan of this. It's kind of like the Pittsburgh sports equivalent of SIFTD. This guy who used to work at major publications left and did his own thing, and it's kind of actually turned into like the best Pittsburgh sports outlet in the world. They just started streaming on YouTube, and they have been shocked at how many people donate money to them. There's like stuff called super chats on YouTube where if you donate money, you can get your question answered or something. You're basically paying to get your question answered, but apparently people love to do it. They make a ton of money doing it. So we need to figure out how to have both the chat for Twitch and for YouTube in the same one, because obviously our Twitch audience, we've been building that for 10 years. We don't want to bail on that either. So there's just some stuff to figure out, but all I'm going to say is we're going to do some stuff for our 10th anniversary around June 5th. So keep an eye out for that. If you guys have any suggestions of stuff you'd like to see us do for our 10th anniversary, we're open to that as well. You can leave that down in the comments below, and we'll consider everything. Because, let's be honest, you guys have been along for the ride this entire 10 years. And I know a lot of you guys are sitting there right now saying, damn. You're also saying, wow, it's been 10 years. It's hard to believe. Because, again,
I was in my 30s when we started doing this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our audience is around our age. And again, we said this before on the show, but once you get past like 35 or 40, time just whips by. Like, literally, years go by like the blink of an eye. And so I feel like a lot of you guys and girls are feeling just like me right now. And you're like, man, I can't believe it's been 10 years. It's been a lot of work to get here. I can't even imagine how many hours I would put into this.
You probably shouldn't think about it.
I don't want to think about it. Because then I could have built a pyramid or something in the same amount of time. But anyway.
They built like that coral castle like that guy in Florida did. And now everyone's like, how did he do it?
Yeah.
I'm like, I think he probably just stacked coral on top of itself.
Yep. So anyway, just a big milestone coming up for us and for you guys. I mean, we wouldn't do this and couldn't be here if it weren't for you guys. So, there's going to be a lot of thanks going around June 5th. So hopefully you guys can tune in for that. We can make it something special. I'm also thinking about doing, maybe for the first time in years, our first Patreon live stream drive where I just stream like all day and try to drive new subscriptions to our Patreon. We haven't done that for a while. So I'm thinking about maybe doing that like the weekend after, which would be like June 9th or something like that. Just all day Saturday streaming, trying to drive subscribers, new patrons to our Patreon it could use the help. That's all I'm going to say about that. So anyway, it has been a good week as far as news is concerned. Like, it was a little bit slow, but there's like 3 really big stories and a couple big things that happened. So we have an awesome episode for you guys. One little side note I do want to bring up, though, before we get going into the show proper, is that, Matt, remember when I talked about how the Switch Joy-Con, it bothered me that the colors on the rails didn't match? Mm-hmm. And I was like, that seems weird for Nintendo to do that. I'm just trying to find footage of them right now. But as it turns out, Matt, I was right. And there is a third-party company and some other ones now are starting to jump on that are going to produce different colored rails that you can snap into both the tablet and the controller.
As in, like, so you put new rails on both so they fit on...
And they match. So if you can make a match if you want to. You can mix and match with different colors. But the bottom line is...
So it's not an official swap.
It will be official, yeah. Nintendo will eventually do it too. It just hasn't announced its stuff yet. A third party kind of beat Nintendo to it.
So do the rails, the colored rails on the Switch come out? Or
yes, they pull out. I wish I could find it in this B-roll. Well, there's a little bit.
That's the internal, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be able to change the color on the tablet and the colors on the actual Joy-Con. So you can make a match. You can use 4 different colors if you want to.
So those like eject or something, or you put just
there's some way to like snap them out and pop them out. Yeah.
I mean, it would make more sense for Nintendo's so big on doing stuff like that as accessories. Mm-hmm. I was a little surprised because that sure looks like it's permanent.
It does, yeah.
On the Switch, not necessarily on the Joy-Con, but on the Switch. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess now in that picture, you
can see the tabs.
On that one, you can see it, but on the strip inside the system, it's hard to.
The other thing, too, is a lot of this stuff is CG.
Yeah.
It's not the actual hardware. And sometimes the CAD files and the CG doesn't match exactly what the hardware is going to look like. But you can see there the tabs that kind of hold the colored plastic into the Joy-Con there on the top. So anyway, just something that I picked up on that no one else seemed to notice back when they announced the Switch 2 that actually I was right about. So it looks like...
I don't know if you're right about it so much as someone else saw a money-making opportunity in the same way you did.
That's possible, too, yeah.
It's like, hey, I bet there's somebody crazy enough to buy this.
I mean, I'm one.
Yeah.
I want my stuff to match.
Well, I'm going to plug the Joy-Cons in, and then they're never going to come out.
You're right. You'll never even see the colors again, other than around the joysticks.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing that I do wonder about, though. There's like a colored ring around the analog sticks. Can you swap that too, or is that gonna?
I don't know. That's another one of the things that made me think that the color probably wouldn't be swappable.
Right.
Because it
has that little ring.
It looked
around.
like it was basically infused through the whole controller.
Through the whole controller. I agree. I thought that when I first looked at it, but then I was like, it just didn't seem right that Nintendo would overlook something like that.
I just assumed they'd just make you buy another $90 set of Joy-Cons.
I mean, maybe that is Nintendo's plan.
Yeah.
And maybe the third parties are jumping in and say, hey, we'll save you $80 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like you can change the rails, but you're going to have to live with whatever color is next to your stick.
That's possible, yeah. So anyway, just something to keep in mind, ways that you'll be able to customize your Switch. It was a little weird that, like, the color Joy-Con going forward are just like those little accents on the Joy-Con instead of being the whole Joy-Con.
I'm sure there will be whole color Joy-Cons in the future.
Yeah, they'll do crazy stuff with them, I think.
They got years to milk you
but
for $100 a pair.
I also realized, Matt, out of the blue, that the Switch 2's release date is the 10th anniversary of SIFTD. Isn't it crazy how that worked out?
Yeah.
It's funny. But anyway... Just more tidbits on Switch 2 that are slowly coming out over time as we get closer to its release date. I mean, we're a month away from Switch 2 at this point, which is also hard to believe. But, again, it's been 8 years, so maybe it shouldn't be all that hard to believe. Considering
Erebus Jones says that it's not the inside, it's just the outside of the Joy-Con. He says the story you posted, Shane, wasn't the inside, it was just the outside of the Joy-Con you can swap.
I'm not sure what that means.
He means you can't change the color of the inside thing on the Switch.
So wait, you can only change the ring color around the analog stick?
The rail on the Joy-Con, but you can't change the color of the
ring on the stick.
No, of the color inside the Switch 2 where
the tablet, you mean?
Yeah.
So you can't change the color of the tablet rails, only the color of the Joy-Con rails.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Okay. I think that's all we have for housekeeping today. I think it's time to get on with the show. And no surprise, we're going to kick things off with Grand Theft Auto 6 this morning. Just the second trailer for the game was released today. the second trailer that came about 18 months after the first trailer. There were former Rockstar employees that were trying to goad Rockstar into never putting out another trailer. I think some people thought that might be a possibility, but basically what happened was...
I mean, they don't need to.
They really don't need to. But basically what happened is that they delayed the game last week, and almost every comment I saw on the internet about the game being delayed was like, bro, okay, delay the game, but at least give us a damn trailer or some screenshots or something. And then a week later, Rockstar acquiesces and puts out the second trailer. Although if you watch this wasn't just whipped together in the last week. Like, there's stuff in here that tells you that this trailer, they've had it for a while and they've had it ready. This trailer primarily focuses on characters in the game generally, but definitely, for more than anything, it focuses on the lead protagonist, the male. His name is Jason Duval. He shares his last name in this trailer. So it kind of focuses on him, what he's about, where he lives, how he meets up with Lucia, which is his girlfriend, who, in this scene, he's basically showing up to get her out of prison. The guy there says, oh, don't I recognize you? It's like, haven't I seen you before? He's like, maybe. And that's, I think, how the game starts. He goes and gets Lucia out of prison, and they just start their lives together, and it's a life of crime. So the trailer focuses a lot on him in this and kind of his relationship with Lucia. But maybe the bigger story, Matt, is that last week the game was delayed until May 26, 2026. I didn't even realize till I came over here today that it was your number one pick on your fantasy team. I had completely forgotten about that.
Well, because if it might come out this year, you got to get it.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't make a mistake by picking it at all.
Well, no, you get it. So.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That one worked out. You ended up getting Zelda, but maybe I'll end up getting... Who knows? GTA may be delayed again, Matt. You really don't know at this point. Let's talk about that delay and what it means for the industry in general, Matt. So obviously, third parties and a lot of first parties sighed a huge sigh of relief this week because now, one, we know that Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming, at least we think, is coming out on May 26th of next year. But two, we know that it's not coming out this year. So all these big third-party games that were waiting to hear the release date to schedule their release dates, my guess is over the next couple weeks, we're just going to start getting release date as people start figuring it out. How do you think it's better for the industry that the game was delayed into next year, generally?
I don't know. I don't know if this has anything to do with the industry.
Yeah.
GTA is its own thing.
But I mean,
it's going to benefit Rockstar, but...
I mean, as far as like hoarding all of the revenue for this year from some other big games that have been in development also for 5 or 6 years that maybe...
I don't know.
They took the big share away.
Two things. I don't know whether it would actually do that. You know, I mean, it's been a long, long time since GTA 5.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe GTA 5 is a unique unicorn. Maybe a Florida GTA isn't interesting to people right now. I don't know. We'll see. Weirder things have happened than this. I mean, it's probably a guaranteed giant hit, but like you never know. And I'm not convinced that this game is going to cannibalize once you get more than a week or two away. It would cannibalize too much. Like, I can't think of anything I would not play instead of this in the sense of like, well, GTA is sort of its own expense. It's like I'm going to buy GTA 6 whenever it comes out, no matter what it is. That doesn't mean it's almost like it's its own. You put the GTA money aside for it whenever it comes out. It doesn't necessarily disrupt whatever you want. What
other sales that you might make or purchases you might make?
Like, I don't really see a lot of people. I mean, in terms of the other 800-pound gorilla, like if this came out in October, I don't see a lot of people not getting COD just because this came out too. It's like, because then you're just going to be behind for the entire season.
Those two games in particular are really different, though.
Yeah. But I think they appeal to a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Like the broest of bro
games. The casual players,
yeah.
I mean, is what you're getting at, really. Both those franchises are huge with casual players.
But it's probably a much less disruptive place to put it if it comes out in May. Who knows what the release schedule looks like next year. But I imagine it's going to be a little more like last year than this year because everyone's putting their thing out this year.
Right.
And that means like a lot of people are not going to have anything to put out next year.
Yeah.
So this might be, we might be in April next year being like, thank God GTA comes out next month because nothing's on the schedule.
I mean, we just produced Dossier, our rundown of all the games coming out in May, and it would have been nice if it came out this May because this May is slow.
Yeah, but I think next year's gonna be even slower.
It might be, yeah. But I think generally May is a good window no matter what.
You thought last year was bad. I think next year's gonna make last year look like this year.
It could actually. Because this again was like
there's a flood this year.
Yeah.
And unless PlayStation has some exclusives up their sleeve, I don't know.
Right.
What we're getting.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Nintendo's probably got a couple things.
Yeah, Ghost of Yotei, I mean, for next year?
Next year.
Yeah. Nintendo better have a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, probably want to support your new system.
It hasn't really been putting out new games for 2 years now.
But I'm going to guess that Xbox is basically firing its whole magazine this year, and we don't even know what Sony's doing.
Right. Yeah, next year could be a little lean. I mean...
Maybe we get Half-Life 3. Who knows?
We're going to talk about that later on in the show as well. Because there's some more rumors popping off about that I'm like, I don't want to believe them anymore. I don't want to even talk about it anymore.
I don't even know what I'd think about a Half-Life 3 at this point. It's just like it's so old. It's 21 years ago.
I know, it's crazy.
Do I even give a shit anymore?
Yeah.
Like, can I even trust you, or is it even because whatever it is not what was originally conceived. It's
right.
Like it would almost be like the Star Wars sequels. It's like, this isn't what George would have made.
Right.
But it's probably kind of close.
Yeah.
But it's also like you can't really, even as someone who likes 2 of the 3 of them, it's hard for me to really mesh them into the other 6.
Yeah.
It's just like these other things that happened. You know?
Yeah, I hear you.
And so it's like Half-Life 3 would be kind of like that to me. It's like, oh, it's nice that a bunch of people who weren't born when this came out before made a sequel to it, and sure. We'll see. I don't know. It's just, and between this happening too, it's sort of like, oh, it's all these things from so long ago that like, and I don't know how, your target audience, for this kind of, for GTA, more or less, like your target audience is either people our age and maybe a little older, or like people who were like 5 when GTA 5 came out.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah.
There's part of me that wonders, like, is this going to fall in kind of some weird demographic, like, pitfall kind of thing? Or like,
well, there's a lot of
probably
people
not.
who had to sneak play in it when GTA 5 came out who can now just go buy it.
Yeah. If they can afford it. And then, I mean, it also gets into, like, how much is this game going to cost? By the time this comes out, we are deep in the $80 game era.
Mm-hmm. Having watched this trailer now several times and checking out the screenshots that we're going to show you here in a little bit, I think it's going to be $100.
Yeah, I feel like they can just say, this is $100, assholes. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, they're going to take it. Because this game is probably the best looking game I have ever seen in my life. By a wide margin.
Very impressive. I'm actually not super impressed by the character faces.
Really?
They feel pretty similar to the remaster of 5.
Yeah. I actually just played that.
Maybe it's just that the animation is very familiar as Rockstar.
Yeah,
there's a house style that they have that I recognize in how the characters move and interact. But the environments are, I don't know if I really have a comparison to the environments and the vehicles on this.
Characters look pretty good too, man.
They look pretty good, but like they don't blow me away in the way that the rest of the world does. Like all the lights on that hotel behind him, or maybe that was an apartment building. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Florida lights on the thing.
Look at that shot right there.
That's very good.
I mean,
this is actually a more interesting, like the swamps and the bogs are a more interesting place in terms of visual graphics to me than the city.
I agree 1,000%. I was gonna say the same thing. I'm more excited for the stuff that isn't really GTA in this game after this new trailer and after.
Well, kind of like how in 5, like some of the most interesting stuff was the desert stuff because they'd never really done that area of California before.
Look at that right there, man. Look at that screenshot.
Yeah, the depth of detail is really impressive.
Look back at the people at the fire and all the beers in the cooler.
And the heat distortion on the people in the back. It's just
insane.
Or the, I'm even impressed with the denim texture on the pants.
Yeah, and look at the grass.
There. Yeah.
It's nuts. Look at the truck.
And they say
there's water on the hood on the one side.
Yeah. And they say this is coming from the PS5
This is
buffer.
PS5. From the buffers of the PS5. I'm guessing PS5 Pro, obviously, but still, they're saying all this comes from the PS5. All these screens, all the video that was in the trailer. But damn, look at the hair, like on the body hair, and like, it's crazy. Look at this. It's just every shot is just like, what? It's just, man.
Yeah, you better get that Pro.
Yeah.
Before this
Otherwise, this thing's gonna run at like 8 frames a second on the base PS5. Like, it's just bonkers. Like, I do wonder if Rockstar is counting on, by May 26th of next year, a lot more people having a PS5 Pro.
Yeah. Love the raccoon. It's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but look at that even. Look at the mud and everything in this shot and how it's flying in the air.
Actually, you know what I think is the most impressive thing in this shot is that the raccoon is muddy.
Yeah.
And the raccoon probably will not be muddy if you see one elsewhere.
Yeah, like his pelt is all like matted down from the mud and the dirt. I didn't even notice that raccoon when I looked at that screenshot the first time. These shots are loaded with stuff like that, though. Like, if you really... They put out 80 screenshots of this game this morning. And what we're showing you, I think I did take some out. I think there were like 10 that were just kind of boring that I chopped out. But I have the rest of them in here. So you're going to slowly, over the next like 10 or 15 minutes...
Fried X100 asked the real question. How about the shooting mechanics? Is that worth $100?
Yeah. Matt and I were talking about that before we went live. I was like...
That's a lot of this is just detail distance, like LOD, like the fact that you can see all those people on the balconies there. And you wonder how much of this is going to look like this on the vanilla PS5.
Right. Like I said, it's probably going to run, if they're lucky, at 30.
I'll tell you this, whenever the PC version comes out, the mod scene is going to be crazy.
I can't even imagine. But look at that screenshot. Look at all the people on the decks there. And the boats cruising up to the docks. It's just... But
and the birds and the seabirds.
Yeah. But to Fried X100's point, there's no gameplay in this.
No.
In this trailer, there was no gameplay. It was all in-engine, but there was no actual gameplay of shooting or running or driving or any of that stuff. And again, I literally just played GTA 5 this week.
Finally, ray-traced arm hair.
I mean, seriously, look at that.
That almost looks like a painting.
It really does, man. It's crazy. Like, I am really just wondering if these screenshots are legit, because it's just nuts. I mean, just look at that dude's leg, his skinny leg. The detail is just... Look at the bottles, how curved and smooth the curves are.
The body type variety in the pedestrian or the I mean, who knows how many of these random people or just like some of these probably are characters that you'll run into. But I am very impressed by the variety of body shapes and sizes and everything.
It's really something. So there was a couple things, like I watched it a bunch of times and I went through it and kind of plucked out some things. But more importantly, Rockstar updated its official website with a bunch of information, and mostly just about the characters in the game, but there's some general information as well. First of all, the area is called Leonida instead of Florida, and then obviously Vice City is Miami, and they showed off 7 different parts of Vice City in this trailer. The plot synopsis that Rockstar supplied, I'm just going to read it. Jason and Lucia have always known the deck is stacked against them, but when an easy score goes wrong, they find themselves on the darkest side of the sunniest place in America, in the middle of a criminal conspiracy stretching across the state of Leonida, forced to rely on each other more than ever if they want to make it out alive. So that's the plot synopsis from Rockstar. That's what it wrote. And here is its description of Jason, the male protagonist. Jason wants an easy life, but things just keep getting harder. Jason grew up around grifters and crooks. After a stint in the army trying to shake off his troubled teens, he found himself in the Keys doing what he knows best, working for local drug runners. It might be time to try something new. Meeting Lucia could be the best or worst thing to ever happen to him. Jason knows how he'd like it to turn out, but right now, it's hard to tell. And then here's the quick description of Lucia. Lucia's father taught her to fight as soon as she could walk. Life has been coming at her swinging ever since. Fighting for her family landed her in the Leonida Penitentiary. Sheer luck got her out. Lucia's learned her lesson. Only smart moves from here. More than anything, Lucia wants the good life her mom has dreamed of since their days in Liberty City. So she's from New York. But instead of half-baked fantasies, Lucia is prepared to take matters into her own hands. Fresh out of prison and ready to change the odds in her favor, Lucia is committed to her plan no matter what it takes. So those are the descriptions of the 2 lead characters in the game, and they also went through a couple others. There's this guy named Cal Hampton, another dude called Booby Ike, which is the most Grand Theft Auto name ever for a character in the game. Draquan Priest is like a record producer. And Real Dimes, he creates viral videos and viral hooks. I'm sure there will be missions where you have to go to him and he has to create viral videos for you to throw the cops off the scent or whatever.
Showing off the ray tracing in this one.
Actually, let's go back to that shot right there. That shot is insane. And this is the one that made me think some of these shots might be fake. Look at his glasses.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way his glasses are going to reflect the world.
I mean, this is a cinematic, so they could tweak that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you know exactly where everyone's moving and what's happening, what's going to be shown, you can basically tweak that to run properly in that one shot.
That's incredible.
I would imagine how would you even look into his glasses in gameplay anyway? You got to get the camera mode out and look way into it. And then the character probably like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
He wouldn't even look at you that long.
Weed growers.
I mean, his glasses are doing that too.
They're reflecting the environment as well.
The shelf below him.
I mean, it is kind of crazy that other games don't do it, even in cutscenes.
Yeah.
Reflections like that.
Well, most characters don't wear sunglasses.
That's true. That is true. We still have. I mean, there's just this video of screenshots is 20 minutes long, Matt. That's how many screenshots they put out. Mm-hmm. It's just I could just keep clicking through this footage. Look at that. This screenshot, I was like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Every time I've gone to the Keys, I have gone diving. Every single time. Is what you do when you go there. So it is really awesome to see that every part of life in Florida is going to be represented here.
I'm wondering if there's going to be like a Disney World equivalent.
Maybe. I mean, Jason Duval, like what they show him in this trailer doing is what every Florida guy does. He gets up, he goes to the gym, he lifts a bunch of weights, he goes to the corner store, gets himself a 6-pack of beer, goes home and drinks it, maybe works, maybe doesn't work, and then goes out at night and parties and maybe gets into trouble. I mean, they have nailed the Florida lifestyle in this game. But I'm just going to start skipping through these screenshots here because there's just so many.
I want to know what the money says. Like, because it's not the quote unquote, what is it? Because like, who's the picture of, and what is instead of the United States of America, what does it say?
I'm turning my head upside down to try to read it, but
I mean, you can't really see.
No, I can't. That's a big stack of ones, though.
You see what I mean there? It's like the something long word of Americadia.
I don't know.
I can't read it.
But these screenshots too. I mean, I hate to point it out, but look at the girl all the way over on the left. She has sweat running down the back of her leg.
Yeah, the sweat engine. I mean, so is the one in the foreground. So do the people at the fire pit.
Yeah,
like it's Florida. Everybody sweats all the time.
That's the way it is. All day, every day. You sweat once you go outside, and you hope for a downpour that lasts for 10 minutes, and then it's all dry again 5 minutes later. That's pretty much Florida. And here's one of the more rural downtown parts of the game. I could just go on and on. That one I already showed. Yeah. But look at the sand on the girl's butt there on the left. Like, It's just all kinds of stuff in this that you just don't see in a lot of other video games. I mean, look at that draw distance. Look all the way back there. You can see the bay back there and all those buildings. I think that's the one building that collapsed.
Well, this, I think the thing I would do in that previous, I look down in the lower left and I would wait and see if those guys actually play a game of one-on-one.
Right.
Because Rockstar might actually do that. They might have a little basketball game going on in there that you can't even play.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's her, right?
Yep, that's Lucia. Lucia's quite the looker. I didn't really get that from the first trailer, but in the screenshots that they put out of her and in this trailer, she's quite attractive. But I just feel like they do a great job of just nailing the Miami, South Florida lifestyle. Yeah. Like
really, really nice. Like it feels like you could touch the herringbone on that, the texture on that jacket.
Yeah, it feels like you could run your hand over it. Yeah, it's really crazy.
And then he'd kill you.
And then he'd shoot you. I still haven't seen the one screenshot, though, of all the boats in the water. To me, that was the most impressive one.
How about that board, that audio board in that previous shot?
Oh, yeah. There's another screenshot.
Like, that audio board probably has more polygons in it than a PS1 game.
Than the whole game. Yeah. They have another shot of a music producer with a bigger board than that, and they have literally modeled, like, 8,000 knobs. It's nuts. Again,
well, when you have, 12 years and $3 billion.
This is what you get. I mean, the good news is, Matt, it's showing. It's coming through.
I hope they sell that shirt.
I want that shirt. I think he is like the tech sidekick in this game.
He seems like the guy playing the heists in 5. Yeah,
he's the nerdy smart dude who knows how to use computers. Yeah, there he is. People's trying to start a fight with him at the bar. There's Lucia clubbing. This shot too, just every screenshot is just incredible. There she is at the pool. I think that's the last one. I want to jump through this till I find the one with the boat in the water. Because to me, that was the one that I was just like, how is that even real? So just bear with me for a second here while I try to find it. There it is. This screenshot to me is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, there's a lot happening there.
Oh my god, dude. That's insane. Look at how good everything looks in that shot. Cinetike says, any guesses on the installs?
Yeah, that's
I mean, the textures in this game might be 300 gigs on their own.
They might come with a
its own hard drive. Oh man, people, are you excited for Grand Theft Auto 6 yet? I would hope so. Let's check in with you guys and see what you guys are saying about all this stuff.
Again, I'm gonna need to see some fucking gameplay.
I hear you.
I really, my two things with this. I hope the gameplay is a little more like something that belongs in this decade or maybe even last decade, considering when GTA 5 came out, and I hope that like their storytelling has matured in some way.
I agree.
That and I know Red Dead 2 I think was pretty, but that was not exactly the same thing. But I really hope it's not just another like it's not another South Park style like everyone's an idiot. I hope it has a point of view.
Yeah, right.
I hope it has an idea in its head. I hope it has something to say about these characters. I hope it has something to say about this place it's set in beyond like America's stupid, which not like I totally disagree in terms of how Rockstar was commenting on a kind of American culture in the previous games, but like they were unique at the time, especially with GTA 3 and Vice City, because they were the only ones in the medium doing
right.
that.
Yeah.
And now like that's not uncommon to have like commentary, but we've got Last of Us 2, we have Cyberpunk 2077, we have games that like have brains in their heads and have things to say about society and culture and commentary in that regard. And I'm just hoping that Rockstar has sort of evolved, even though they haven't put one of these out in however many years. I hope they have realized that you have to evolve alongside, especially if you're going to take that long.
Yeah, my guess is it will, but
I don't know. Like I've never.
It's not a given.
Like I guess it's a positive that none of those 80 screenshots are just like a bunch of like transgender people looking like clowns out front of a.
Because it could have done that, and it could have captured a certain audience.
If they'd done those 80 screenshots for GTA 5, that would have been in there because there was a bar like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that none of those are really like, egregiously like, isn't this funny? And it's more like just like we're just depicting what it is. That's probably a good sign.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Am I still gonna have to hammer the X button to run? Like, I know there was a toggle in GTA 5 Remastered, but like, or Red Dead Redemption 2, where you toggle it. And I actually, I didn't actually keep the toggle on for that because it didn't feel right.
Right.
I don't know why. Like I complain about that all the time, but I'm like, no, it doesn't feel right if I'm not doing that in a Rockstar game. I did the same thing.
Yeah. You guys have a lot to say about everything we've discussed so far. First, we guys are talking about our anniversary, which is awesome. Ed Rock says he enjoyed the Until Dawn movie. Damn 10 years. Luke TG1, I watch a movie podcast and the audience throws super chats at them on the daily. Yeah, that's why we're going to move over there. And then Erebus says, June, I'm celebrating earlier than that. I have a vivid memory of reading Sifted while my wife was sleeping during a 36-hour labor on May 25th, 2015. Yeah, so we had a beta where we let, I think it was like 500 or 600 people into the site for a couple weeks before we launched it. You guys basically were like our beta tester and helped us like squash a million bugs.
And obviously this show started in like April.
Yeah, and we started this show months before to promote the launch of Sifted. So the show's 10-year anniversary passed a couple months ago, but Sifted says not yet. Would love to see El Guapo. Would love to see a best moments montage. Okay, that's something we can start working on if you guys are interested.
We'll start rolling through those 1,000 hours of
it's thousands and thousands of hours. Yep. If you guys remember particular things that you'd like to see, let me know. That will help me with the legwork a bunch. Retro Modern Gamer, I was playing Oblivion Remastered when you guys were talking about that random number, how far something is away. I noticed it has footprints, so I guess they measure distance in paces. LOL.
Which isn't even because I think the paces are measured by walking speed, and no one walks in Oblivion.
Right.
You run.
Yeah.
I don't. It's a very arbitrary. I mean, you want to talk about how Imperial units are arbitrary.
Yeah.
Like how far your one character can walk is very different.
It is. Yep. Fire Native says, have you heard Switch 2 does not use Hall effect sticks to fix the joystick drift? Yeah, we've talked about that on the show a bunch of times. Yeah, it sucks. I don't know why. Nintendo probably thinks it's found a smarter way, and it probably thinks it can patent it and blah, blah, blah. That'd be my guess.
I know the Hall sticks, like, they have their own issues. But I don't know.
We'll see. Me either. Loot TG1 has got 26 million views already. The GTA trailer already. That's crazy.
Yeah, for comparison, the Thunderbolts trailer has 30 million views. The first trailer from like 2 months ago has 30 million views right
now. And it took like 4 hours for GTA to hit that. It's crazy. Fire Native says one of the kind of funny guys said he guesses the main guy is either an ex-cop or undercover cop. Well, he's ex-military, as we just said. Yeah. You choose to arrest your girlfriend or join her at the end of the story. Nah. That's wrong. God of Gamblers 33.
Undercover cops don't get to like rob 7-Elevens and get away with it. That's not...
I mean, I get they're just trying to guess, but I think they're wrong. God of Gamblers 33. Thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. First time you watch the trailer, the graphics insane. They really are insane. There's no other way to put it. Fire Native, if you play as a woman, then at the end of the story, you would get to decide to kill him or let him go. No. You're going to play as both of them. It's not going to be one of the other.
I think one of them is going to betray the other.
Probably at some point.
You're probably going to pick which one to continue as.
Maybe. That could be. Retro Modern Gamer, I did not play it, but I think Half-Life Alyx addresses the ending of Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Okay.
Renard, well, then they should make it playable out of VR so everyone else can.
That'd be great, actually. That'd be really nice. Renard 1999, thank you for Twitch Prime. That's awesome. Fire Native again. When Nintendo charges $80, yeah, GTA 6 is 101 the game. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Retro Modern Gamer, GTA 5 with ray tracing on PC looks really good except the 7th gen characters. I just played GTA 5 this week because it's like we needed like better B-roll. And I was taken aback at how clunky that game is to play. After all this time, they could have really done a couple small things and made it way better to play. It just shows you how stubborn Rockstar can be. But I also think Rockstar believes that the way they set up the gameplay for GTA and to a lesser extent Red Dead, I think Rockstar thinks that appeals to casual players. I think it thinks that that's one of the reasons why they sell 150 million units of GTA is because they think anybody can just sit down and play it. I don't agree with that. I think the average player, even people who don't play games a lot, have evolved past what GTA 5 is offering in the gameplay department. Call me crazy, but I think we've evolved.
It doesn't actually offer that much, does it?
No.
Because one of my issues with GTA 5, and arguably there's no real reason GTA 5 shouldn't be my favorite over San Andreas because it's California. It's the same. It's simulating the place I live. It does a really good job of it. But I feel like San Andreas lets me interact with the world more and do more and kind of have more control over CJ. Deeper. And 5 is just sort of like jump between three guys who like don't really, outside of how they behave in the cinematics, they don't really have any differences between them.
Yeah.
Other than what car they have as default. And like, you can't really, I can't think of anything in the world of GTA 5 that you can really do. Like, it's all just scenery. It's all just backdrop.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like that about San Andreas.
Oh, San Andreas was a way deeper game. It's the deepest GTA, and they called it back. I do wonder if they thought, like, we've gone too far. Like,
no, I think it was a tech and time thing. They just couldn't put that kind of detail in something.
And now they've just removed it, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, that's what I'm curious. That's really kind of the thing that, like, I think 6 hinges on for me is, like, are they just going to do 5 again? Like, we're going to have a backdrop and this
beautiful, but you don't interact with a lot of it. Yeah.
As Ferris Bueller said, it's like a museum. It's very beautiful and very cold, and you're not allowed to touch anything. Or are they gonna like go full interactivity? And is it like can I get on that boat in that screenshot and knock those beer cans over? And like, are the people gonna react to that? And could that cause something to happen? And they can rob their boat and blow a hole in it and sink it and swim up like shit like that.
I think that stuff probably will happen.
You'd hope so, but like that didn't really happen in 5.
Yeah, it did feel a little more canned.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. I felt that way as well.
Canned is the word for it.
Yeah. J. Reed Vic 7. This is what happens when GTA skips a generation. Despite the upgrades, Bones of 5 were designed for 360 and PS3.
It was a 360 game. You got to remember that.
Yeah, seriously.
I played GTA 5 3 times. I don't dislike it by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it could have been way more. And partly because of what I just said, and partly because they carved the most interesting part of the game out to make it the online mode, the heist stuff.
Luke TG1 says, "What's wrong with the shooting mechanics? Do people not like Rockstar shooting? I'm confused."
I don't dislike it, but I think it's
just auto.
It's a little subpar.
It's auto target. Yeah, you just squeeze the trigger and it just snaps to the enemy.
Well, the problem is the problem I have is not just that is the shooting. Like in Red Dead in particular, because it's our most recent example. If you aren't using the snap to target shooting, you're gonna die.
Oh, you have no chance
because
it's built around being
able to do that. You cannot manually aim. I mean, I guess you probably could with a mouse.
Yeah. I mean, what I do is I snap, hold up slightly for the headshot.
Yeah.
Snap, hold up slightly.
Exactly.
Snap, hold up slightly. Snap, hold up slightly.
And would I prefer to be? But again, you can't free aim because you'll be dead.
Oh, you have no chance because they it's so squirrely and it just doesn't work. Retro Modern Gamer says, "I think the screenshots look like fake real life AI." Is that
there's a hyper sharpness to them that does look like what AI renders.
Maybe maybe they sharpened them up or something.
I think they probably are sharpening them up I mean, also the stuff that comes out of the buffer of a console always looks sharper than what gets displayed.
Because it's coming straight out of the machine. It's not going through any wires or anything. Eth Demon, I'm in the minority, but could never get into a GTA game because of the awful gameplay. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's my biggest hang up with Rockstar's games.
I obviously did get into it, but I don't disagree. And to the point that if a GTA game doesn't immediately hook me with its setting and story and kind of what's happening, the gameplay isn't enough to pull me through it. And I mean that kind of happened with with the first Vice City. I didn't think it was enough of it was basically just a mod for GTA 3. They didn't fix any of my problems with how GTA 3 played, and I wasn't all that interested in playing through Florida Goodfellas, so it just didn't Scarface except starring people with no fingers. So I didn't love it, and I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I got death threats for that.
Retro Modern Gamer, I'm already calling it. One of the main characters will die as a big plot twist after connecting with both of these characters, kind of like what happened at the end of Red Dead Redemption 1.
Maybe.
I mean,
I think it's going to be more of a loyalty thing.
Something's going to happen.
The fact that the way they're building up that relationship between them, one of them's you're going to have to make a horrible choice that's either choose between the person or the money or whatever.
I'll just say this. I don't think both of them are going to make it to the end of the game. How that happens, I don't know, but I think one of them will not make it for Grand Theft Auto 7.
Yeah, well, my guess is that you're gonna have one of them's gonna have to betray the other, and that's gonna basically I think you're gonna basically start a gang war between the two of them.
That could be
where you kind of build up your empire, they build up their empire, and you have to go head to head by the end of it.
That'd be crazy. Too medic, I'm sold. I think a lot of people said that this morning. Erebus says, I haven't enjoyed a GTA since San Andreas.
I have, but none of them have reached the pinnacle of San Andreas.
I've enjoyed them all.
Is the best one.
Yeah, some more than others, but I've enjoyed them all.
I didn't like Vice City because it was such a lateral move.
My least favorite is the GTA 3.
I mean, yeah,
it's
probably.
just this crude murder simulator.
There's not much to it.
Yeah, it's very simple.
In terms of, I mean, leaving that aside, kind of I think 4 kind of left me a little cold. Even though I gave it a 5 out of 5,
it deserved a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, but going back to it now, it's just
it's a little dreary.
It's a little dreary. It's a little dull. And again, I say this all the time, I think, but Liberty City is the least interesting setting for these games. New York is just so done to death, and it has.
It's just big city.
Yeah, I guess if you could extend it out to the other boroughs, I guess, or maybe include some upstate.
And they could have done that with this game.
They could have. Now they could. 4 didn't go beyond Manhattan, but I don't know. I think GTA deserves to. Especially in the back of Red Dead Redemption 2, deserves to have some out of the city stuff because they're good at that.
Jeff Lynn Jeff 99 is someone that played GTA 4 to the end and didn't really like it. Should I play GTA 5?
I think GTA 5 is much better.
It's more fun.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
because I was very skeptical of 5 after 4 in terms it's going to be another kind of. And as much as I just sort of slagged it for being non-interactive and sort of scenery, it's way better about that than than 4 is.
I mean, GTA 4 is an immigrant story, basically.
Yeah.
And that may not be exciting to some people. GTA 5 is like, we're in LA, go crazy, basically.
Yeah, I think the story in 4 is moderately. I mean, what he ends up having to do is very sad.
Yeah.
Like the way he basically has to choose between this, and it's basically like ruin your new life or accept a worse life than you had before.
Right.
And like he chooses, inevitably, because GTA and you choose the action oriented thing, you basically choose to ruin the life you've built in the name of like, doing what's right, more or less, or what's right for him.
Right.
Probably not what's right morally.
Yeah.
Because it's GTA. But like, yeah, that is it's a more personal kind of one man story.
It's darker,
and,
more serious.
Yeah. And like it's also like it kind of short circuit the fantasy of GTA where like you wouldn't really want to be Nico Bellic.
Yeah.
Like
definitely not.
Like you probably wouldn't want to be Trevor either.
Yeah.
But at least Trevor looks like he's having a good time.
Right.
In between being
other than
so
being a
methed out, he
maniac.
doesn't know where he is.
Yeah.
It's just it feels GTA 4 feels so specific to the character you're playing that it's hard to sort of there's a ludonarrative dissonance, as they say, about like it was hard to use GTA 4 as sort of what you use GTA 4 as before, as like sort of like this open world, go crazy, do whatever you want thing, because Nico simply wouldn't do that.
Right.
It was the
that wasn't him. Yeah.
No, it was the first time they'd really like gone into the cinematics and into the characters like really hard and realistic looking. Like it was the new engine. It looked amazing, to the point that it was like you kind of felt like you should behave like a normal person. Yeah. And they kind of got around that in 5 by making you switch between the 3 characters. Right. I very much believe that the 3 characters in 5 are like Franklin is sort of the person you expect to be the star of a GTA, because that's for the San Andreas fans. Because he's sort of like an up and coming, guy in crime trying to get out of his neighborhood sort of thing. Yeah. Michael is who actually plays these games. Right. Middle-aged white guys who want to escape their home life. And Trevor is who we play the GTA games as.
Yeah, that's who's in our mind.
Trevor is if in universe someone behaved as we play the games, that would be Trevor.
Yeah. That's
what I think the triumvirate of that is. And in this one, I don't know. Maybe they're just leaning real hard on the idea that Jesse's from Florida.
Yeah.
So, like, Jesse can be Trevor, he can be Franklin, he can be Michael, and Lucia can be whatever they want her to be too.
Big Smoke says that's half of the people out of the Sifted Fantasy Challenge. Yep. If you did not pick GTA, you may win the Sifted Fantasy Challenge.
Yeah, because usually having 10 in the Fantasy Challenge is sort of key to winning.
Yep. Oh, you have to have it. Yeah.
But that's such a it's like if you think GTA 6 might come out this year, you have to put it in.
Mitchell Ness says if Level Tear Us Apart is in the soundtrack, then we know how the story's going to go. Yeah. That's funny.
And I bet it is.
It probably will be. They always have New Order or Joy Division in there somewhere. Ashes in the Hourglass, I can't remember a single memorable side quest in a GTA game. Really?
I remember ones that I really hated. Like, I will remember that fucking remote control helicopter thing in the parking garage in Vice City forever, because whoever made that, I read a thing about that at one point where there was a guy, one of the mission designers was just totally enamored of remote control vehicles, and they couldn't stop him from making
that mission.
And like that guy left or was fired or something, like between that and San Andreas, and you'll notice there are no more remote control vehicle missions after that.
That's the worst GTA.
Because even people at Rockstar didn't like them. Like they're like, but you replay Vice City. That helicopter mission, that is the worst thing. So many replays have stopped at that. I don't even know if that's a side mission. Maybe that's a main mission. Because I remember
it is a main mission. I think actually, yeah. It's a nightmare. It really is.
There aren't really many side missions in GTA.
There aren't a ton.
Because you got anyone. I think that anyone whose letter appears on the map, you have to do everybody's to get the rest other stuff to unlock. Mm-hmm. So the side missions are really like the mini games.
Well, even the side missions are pretty full featured. Like they don't feel like side missions.
I'm trying to think of what a side mission was.
Right, because what my point is that like all their missions are so elaborate and detailed that none of them feel like side missions.
But all of them are main missions. You have to do all of them.
You're right.
If the letter appears on the map for a contact, you have to do all of them to unlock the next.
That's true.
So the only side missions in GTA are really the mini game stuff.
Yeah.
So and those are not very memorable, except for in the early games, you just grab a fire truck in the first opportunity and put fires out until you have $300,000, and you're good for money for the rest of the game. Who knew firefighting was so lucrative?
Two Medic says he has PTSD from that mission.
That mission's terrible.
Zed Saber says he did not think that GTA 4 should be Game of the Year in 2008. So Zed Saber, tell us what game you thought should have won.
You're gonna need to remind me what else.
Yeah, I can't remember what else came out that year, unfortunately. Cinetyke says 92 of the 117 picked GTA.
Wow.
Retro Modern Gamer says it is a main mission in San Andreas. Yeah. Worse than the helicopter in Vice City. Yeah, the helicopter mission is also bad, the Legacy. Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. Yeah. Billsabub says, I'm surprised 20% didn't pick GTA. Yeah, but look, I think some people learned from last year that you got to juke and jive to win, because as it turned out, like the only person that picked Metaphor ReFantazio won.
Right.
So generally to win, you kind of have to stray outside of what you think everyone else is going to do. But, I mean, if you're trying to be smart in the Sifted Fantasy Challenge, you probably should have had GTA on there, because you just can't miss it. If it does come out and it gets a 10, you have no chance then. And I think at the beginning of the year, there was a better than 50% chance that GTA was going to come out this year.
I think there was.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, a couple more things.
I think they would have liked it to come out this year.
Yeah.
They talked in the investors meeting about it, so they clearly thought it was.
Yeah, that's true. A couple more things. I did look through the trailer a few times, and I found a couple things that I wanted to bring up. First of all, the one guy in the gun store in this, it looks like that dude Phil Cassidy from Vice City. I thought maybe he died, though.
Phil Cassidy?
Yeah.
I don't remember who that is.
He was like anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just looks similar. There's one dude in the...
I mean, they do like to throw in people from the...
Right.
I mean, that guy would be real old now.
Right. He would be, yeah. And he is old in this trailer. They show a football player in this, and he's wearing a jersey, and the Miami Dolphins are called the Manatees.
Right. I remember. They've mentioned the Manatees before.
You'll be able to upgrade your house. So in the trailer, maybe I should show the new trailer just so I can talk along with it. So in the trailer, when they first come home, she basically says, oh, this is our first house, our starter house, a fixer-upper or whatever. Also, by the way, do you notice in this first scene, he says, what are you doing up there? And he goes, fixing some leaks. That's what he said. Totally a nod to everything that has happened with this game. So anyway, in the first scene, they show the house. It's like this dump. And if you watch the trailers, the trailer goes on, their house keeps getting better and better and has more stuff in it. So it looks like you're going to be upgrading your house throughout the course of the game. It looks like, based on that scene right there, that the San Andreas stuff might be back, where you're like lifting weights and like buffing your body.
I doubt that.
You think? No?
I think that's just what he does.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's the character.
You think that stuff will ever come back?
I don't know. I'd like to see it come back, but I don't think... I have a very hard time believing they're going to let you make Lucia fat.
Yeah, wishful thinking on my part, maybe. Not that she's fat, but that there's that much control over the character.
Also because of how detailed, like, the cinematics and everything they have to do with it. Like,
you're right. That
accounting for the size of the character's body through all
that
just doesn't.
No, you're right. That's a good point, Matt. That's a really good point. It looks like there might be some kind of like fight tournaments or an underground fight league in the game. There's a couple. There's a couple scenes that show Lucia fighting with like bare knuckle gloves on or whatever. So it looks like there might be some kind of thing that you take part in, some underground thing going on in Miami or whatever the hell, like Vice City. What else? Oh, there's also a scene at the end of this where people are saying it shows the PlayStation 6. So he's sitting...
Okay.
Yeah, I know. He's sitting, like, in his living room, and on the coffee table is a controller that kind of looks like a PlayStation controller, but not really. And then there's a console sitting under the TV, and people are like, oh, Rockstar has Intel, and that's the PlayStation 6 or whatever. Who knows? You know, it's probably not true. But so anyway, those are just some things that I picked up on, having watched through the trailer a couple different times. Overall, pretty good trailer, though, I think. It shows a lot of the game, way more than the first trailer did, for sure. But
J. Reed Vick says it is Phil Cassidy. He didn't die. He blew his arms off.
Oh, I thought he had died. So it is Phil, though?
I don't remember that at all, so I can't help you.
Oh, Ashes says the best game of 2008 was Valkyria Chronicles.
Or Persona 4. I like Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah, I think that's a stretch. Mitchell Ness.
If it was Persona 4 Golden, I could agree with that. I don't think vanilla Persona 4 was...
Did Zet Saber ever reply with what his pick was? I don't think he did. Maybe he left. And maybe he's not on the stream anymore. Yeah, he didn't reply. Fallout 3. probably in the discussion, I would say, for 2008. Still, to me, GTA.
Was that 2008?
I think so.
I thought that was 2000. No, I guess it wasn't 2006.
I think it's
so. That was also Fable 2 that year.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't, because we were in a different building for that.
I mean, I had left G4 at that point.
Yeah.
I left in 2006.
That was. I think Fallout 3 was 6, wasn't it? Because Fallout 3 was 2008.
MGS4 was 08. I definitely would pick GTA over MGS4. That's my taste, though.
Yeah, I would pick GTA over MGS4.
So Jay Reed Vicky blew his arms off, but he has arms in this trailer, by the way.
He might have prosthetic arms.
I mean, GTA, it can play a little fast and loose with that stuff.
They're very good about continuity, though.
Retro Modern Gamer says Fallout 3 was 2008. Yeah.
Because
Oblivion was 2006. Remember back when Bethesda could get a game out every couple years?
Yeah,
wasn't that great?
Remarkable.
Remember those days?
Yeah, I would probably give Fallout 3 Game of the Year for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been close. I still probably would have.
I remember because it was on XPlay. It was between Fallout 3 and Fable 2.
Oh, really?
And we let Adam and Morgan pick, break the tie basically, because they're the ones who had to say it on television.
Did they pick Fallout?
They picked Fable.
Oh, they picked Fable.
Yeah, we gave Fable 2 Game of the Year.
Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, there you go. That's Grand Theft Auto 6, everything we know. Matt, do you think that we're going to get another trailer before the game comes out?
Probably. I mean, I imagine we'll get something that shows gameplay of some kind before then. But I mean, it might be in April next year.
I mean, to be fair, like Rockstar...
They don't need to do anything.
It doesn't need to do anything. But
there's no way to predict anything because they don't have to follow any of the same rules as
anyone else. Yeah. Now, to be fair, with Red Dead 2, like, they did blow it out, but it was Red Dead. It wasn't GTA. Yeah. So they probably felt like they needed to promote that more.
But they did for GTA 5. They did like a big heist demo thing and all that stuff.
Yeah, they showed a lot of GTA 5 as well.
But again, GTA 5 is also, I mean, obviously they were Rockstar before then, but like GTA 5 kind of changed the game.
Yeah. When it sells like a 200
when it's the best-selling entertainment product of all time.
Ever. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, there you go. Those are our thoughts on Grand Theft Auto 6. I hope we get more. My guess is we won't get another trailer probably for another 10 months or something like that.
If that, yeah.
And then maybe for the last 2 months they start putting out stuff, but I think we're going to have to make do. I mean, they gave us 80 screenshots. Yeah. That to me is Rockstar saying, like, here you go.
Okay, so this comes out. If this comes out in May, what sports are they advertising on at that time of year? Is it just baseball and?
It depends on if the hockey and the playoffs go into like the first.
That's kind of the craziest thing about this placement for me is the fact that you're going to launch this at a time you can't advertise
without the NFL.
On the NFL or NBA.
No, the NBA will be there.
It'll be there.
It should be. It'll be like in the finals. Both NHL and NBA will be in the finals basically.
Okay.
So
yeah, because the finals when the Lakers are in the finals, they were right up against E3. Mm-hmm. So you had to go to E3 while
E3 is happening while there's a hockey game or a
fire.
Right. Yeah. So
whether they won or lost, it's just how you celebrate that. That's just the traditional way.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, but my guess is we're not going to see anything more from this game for quite a while. I hope I'm wrong, but that would just be my guess because it doesn't need to show anything. It's like that old Rockstar developer like said last week. He's like, they don't need to put out anything else.
Yeah,
y'all are gonna buy it. Like one trailer. That's all you need.
Just put the logo on buses, and you're kind of in the
pretty
date,
much.
and you're good.
Pretty much.
I saw a South of Midnight ad on a bus.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Wow, they got some marketing dollars.
Yeah, a little bit.
I saw that they have only 1 million people have played it so far.
I mean, that's pretty good for what it is, I think.
Yeah,
and for the
I just
complete
figured
lack
being on
of
Game
promotion.
Pass, it'd probably do a little more.
Game Pass is not as ubiquitous as I think.
I think you're right. I think we're starting to discover that like
also,
just because it's on Game Pass doesn't mean everyone who subscribes is going to play it.
I don't think they put the Game Pass stuff as prominently like, hey, this is out now today on Game Pass. It's new. I don't think they pop that up enough.
And they should. Yeah, they should put out a trailer for each game. For it, it should be the Game Pass launch trailer. Mm-hmm. They should do it every time. I don't know why. We have to like add it in the blurb and available for Game Pass. Like it's never in the title of the trailers or anything. So
I wonder if there's some kind of non-compete thing there where it's
possibly
like if you're putting it on other platforms, they don't want you to really.
It's possible. That. It is absolutely possible. So anyway, there you go. That's Grand Theft Auto 6. Very fortunate for us that this all dropped the morning before GameFace 432, so we can get it into the show before pretty much anybody else.
Yeah, how annoying would it be if they did that like now? We'll talk to you next week.
I mean, that happens.
It happens, yeah.
There's been stuff that's happened during the show.
But not as, like, prominent as, like, GTA 6 reveal.
It never happens, like, right after the show, because our show ends when everything's already shut down corporate-wise, so anything comes, like, right after the show. Sometimes the next morning, though, And I'm like, dang, we got to wait 6 days before we can talk about that. But not this time with Grand Theft Auto 6. Thank you, Rockstar. You hooked us up. All right, next up, the other big story.
Copyright strike.
Seriously. The other big story from this week is that Xbox is increasing the prices of pretty much everything that it makes. The Xbox Series X is going from $500 to $600. And by the way, these price increases are worldwide. This isn't like with PlayStation 5 where they've let the USA off the hook. Here, the prices are going up in every territory. So Xbox Series X goes up $100 to $600. Xbox Series S goes from $350 up to $430. That's an $80 price increase for Series S. And then by the end of the year, Xbox first-party software, $80, just like Nintendo. Microsoft has also increased the prices for pretty much all of its peripheral hardware, headsets, all that kind of stuff, controllers. It has basically increased the price across the board for all of its hardware. So, Matt, I think at this point we know why. We say it every week. We can say it again right now. It's Trump's tariffs. That's why the price is going up.
Well, I don't think so.
Oh, really?
No.
Why do you think the price went up then?
Because I think they've always been planning to put the price up for this.
Why?
I don't know. But, like, why are you raising the price in Europe if it's tariffs?
Because, I mean, why did PlayStation raise the price in Europe?
Well, exactly, because there were no tariffs then. I think that's what's causing
PlayStation's raising the prices to try to cover the tariffs in the U.S. so they don't have to raise the price.
But PlayStation has raised the price
of
the PlayStation 5 in Europe before already.
Right. This is the second price increase for PlayStation. Yeah.
So something's going on with how these things are produced.
I mean, tariffs.
I don't think this is tariffs.
I mean, as of right now, pretty much all PlayStation's hardware is made in tariffed territories. Yeah. It has a lot of work to do. But Microsoft as well.
But I'm saying I don't think this is all that. I think this is a convenient way to blame it on tariffs.
No.
I don't think this is all I think they were going to do this regardless. Maybe they weren't going to do it in America. Maybe they're going to just raise it in Europe for whatever reason. But I don't this doesn't track with how much the tariffs are going up. So I'm sure they probably, I mean, I know there's all kinds of deals being cut with like the Chinese manufacturers are lowering this cost so so that you can offset that off what you have to pay on tariffs. I mean, everybody's working with each other behind the scenes to try to mitigate this as best they can, even though there's nothing you can do, for all of it. I don't know. Like, I'm sure it's part of it, but I think it's the tariffs. The tariffs thing feels like an excuse for this more.
But I don't understand why you say that about Microsoft, but not everyone else is raising prices.
Who else is raising prices?
Everybody. Everything's going up.
Who else raised prices?
What do you mean? Nintendo just raised prices?
Well, Nintendo did, but I think
PlayStation's raised prices twice? Everything...
But PlayStation raised prices before. Something is... I think this was happening regardless.
Have you been to the grocery store in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Dude. Holy crap, man. Dude, my grocery bill was so bad the last time I went there, I got in an argument with one of the cashiers.
The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. Like, that's the thing.
Well, they're doing this preemptively.
I just don't believe that. Period. Because he's so chaotic, and we don't know how long these are going to last. To do this whole announcement about how much this is going to raise the prices forever, like as this big thing, and include because the game price is going to 80 have nothing to do with tariffs. Nothing.
No, I agree with that.
They were always going to do that. Nintendo was always going to do that.
No, I agree with that.
I think Nintendo did that accessory pivot because of the tariffs.
They don't need to, though, because they can easily manufacture discs in America.
No, they can't. The discs are made in Mexico. But they can.
But it's not China, is my point.
No, China is obviously the big deal because it has the 145%.
Like an 8 million% tariff.
but no, almost all discs for everything are made in Mexico.
They could easily make them here, though. That's one thing that they could easily ship.
They don't actually have the plants to do that on the volume they would need.
I know. They can build them in a year, and they could do it.
They could build them in 5 years.
Not a plant to make discs, man.
Yes, to make on the scale of making enough for the entire country. Yes, it would take.
No one's buying discs anymore. You don't have to make that many anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still. Well, then that would be pretty.
My point is, it's way easier to shift the manufacturing of discs from somewhere else to America.
Right,
but you can't. But the 5-year thing, to build a console, piece of electronics, an iPhone, something like that. At least 5 years.
Yeah, well, then it wouldn't even matter because you need the raw materials to.
Well, then China, hopefully he's gone by the time you get that to there anyway.
Well, hopefully whoever replaces him is willing to roll all this bullshit back. That's the problem. You're like, what happens next? What kind of inhuman sub creature is going to follow?
Well, hopefully.
I'm hoping that once he's no longer leading things, then it'll be just a fight over who gets to be the next cult of personality, and none of them have the personality to replace him.
Matt, I'm just hoping we have real elections again.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure we'll ever have real elections again. We may be Russia. Seriously.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, we're headed that way. There's like a 5% of the people that are crazy rich, and everyone else is living in mud huts. That's Russia.
Yeah.
So,
in which case, we won't have to worry about the price of the Xbox.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think the $100 is just them covering their butts. Like,
somewhat, but
$100 is like, even if he goes bonkers, like, it probably will cover most of it, but maybe not. But we can't go up $200 because here's the other thing about it, though.
$600 for an Xbox Series X is still crazy.
Right. Because does it matter? That's my whole point about this. Does it even matter if they raise the price? Because nobody's buying an Xbox. It doesn't even matter. It's like I almost feel like this is Microsoft telling people to not buy an Xbox and get a PS5 or figure out some way to play Game Pass on your TV, which I did by the way this week. So Game Pass just came to LG TVs. It's not an app on the TV, Matt. You use the web browser in the TV to go to Xbox Game Pass and stream it through the web browser on the LG TV.
Crazy.
It's not a Game Pass app on the TV. But anyway, this is maybe Microsoft saying, like, figure it out, man, because we're getting out of hardware and we're going to push your ass off the cliff whether you like it or not. We're probably not going to put out another piece of hardware, even though we said that we already were going to a year and a half ago.
I think the more important part of the news is that they, Nintendo did indeed blaze the trail for $80 games.
Yeah.
They're following on that, and somewhere in Microsoft's was like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that first, so we don't have to be the fucking scapegoats. But like, they probably didn't need to worry about it. I can't imagine what's their first $80 game probably going to be. Gears of War. Yeah.
Well, Shuhei Yoshida said yesterday or the day before that it was happening. That whether Nintendo did it first or
Microsoft, it was
Microsoft,
a question of who went first.
It was going to happen no matter what. And so he was basically saying, like, stop slagging Nintendo for this, like it was inevitable, and like you need to get over it.
Nintendo probably had the most bulletproof game to do that.
Yeah,
with, so.
Yeah. But to me, it doesn't matter because no one's buying Xbox consoles.
No, I mean, that was sort of the thing when I'm like, okay, like I don't need to worry about that. I don't know anyone who needs to worry about that.
Yeah, because I would never
like,
recommend.
Like something went up, and I do believe that's because of like the way PlayStation kept raising the price on the console even before all this. Like something's up.
Yeah.
Like something's going on with how manufacturing's working, or parts production is just not getting cheaper for whatever reason, tariffs or no tariffs, like. So yeah, we've raised everything. I mean, the only thing that bothered me that really makes me go, is that they raised the price on the Elite stuff, the Elite controllers, because, one of these days mine might break and I might need another one.
Yep.
But, other than that, it's like, okay, a price hike on a bunch of stuff that I don't intend to ever buy. I mean, there's no way to know beforehand, but I probably shouldn't have bought the Series X.
Yeah.
I probably just bought a new PC then. I mean, but again, the 4090 wasn't out yet. It just didn't line up with where I knew I wanted the hardware power of the PC to be before I jumped in again versus when I wanted to play Xbox games.
I would never recommend that someone buys an Xbox Series X.
No, neither would I.
Like, I would say, if you really want Game Pass, get a Series S.
Get a Series S, and really, you should try to get a PC.
And even that's $430 now. Yeah. The Series S. You're right. Like, I would just recommend...
Just hang on to your PS5 and play them when they come there like 6 months later.
That, or like, sell your PS5, take that money, plus the money that you were going to spend on an Xbox, and build a PC.
Yeah.
But recommending someone buy Xbox hardware in 2025? No way.
Even though I do like the Galaxy Black paint job.
Yeah. Here's my question. They were supposed to release 3 brand new consoles. We're seeing them right now in the B-roll. Last December. Have you seen any of these consoles on store shelves? I have not.
No, but I also don't really go to stores.
I do.
And I don't think to look at the consoles when I do.
I was shopping over the holiday season. I went into Best Buys, Walmarts, Targets. I did not see any of these 3 consoles in any store. And I have not seen any since. I go to Best Buy all the time. I've never seen these consoles in stores. Have any of you guys seen these consoles in stores out in the wild anywhere?
Anyone? Honestly, when you ran that B-roll earlier, I was like, all right. I thought about it, and I just figured I probably just didn't pay attention.
So it's a little weird that Microsoft puts those consoles out and then immediately jacks up the price of all its consoles. It's a little odd. But have any of you guys seen those anywhere? Probably only order online, Retro Modern Gamer says. It's just Microsoft's hardware decision making leaves a lot to be desired. Like, nothing's really adding up or making sense. I do feel like at this point, Microsoft should just create a Game Pass machine and just call it Xbox Game Pass or something like that. Mm-hmm. And just create a machine that's optimized to work with Game Pass. Not $600, maybe it's a $400 or $500 console, something like that. All the indie games look great. Big AAA games look pretty good, but not as good as possible. I don't know. But I will say this. I did try the streaming on my TV, and while it was weird that I had to use the TV's browser to make it work or whatever, it did work great. I couldn't believe it.
How'd you control it?
So you can just go into your TV settings, and you can connect the controller with Bluetooth. There's a device that you'll see it in your TV. I didn't know it was there either, but I started digging through the menus. I followed like a tutorial, and there's a place where you can go and connect Bluetooth devices to your TV. And so I was able to just connect my Elite Xbox controller to my LG TV, use the web browser to go to Game Pass, and it worked. And it worked great, actually. I didn't try any multiplayer games, because why would I? But I was kind of pleasantly surprised by how well it worked, even though it seemed kind of convoluted and weird. And I don't even know what LG ever did to make that work. Like, it feels like it would have worked all along if you just went to Xbox.com on the web browser on the TV. But anyway, I think the hardware strategy at Microsoft and Xbox right now is very muddled and hard to kind of figure out where they're headed, what it's trying to do. What do you think? What do you think its hardware strategy is at this point?
I don't know.
It's very scattershot.
I mean, they're kind of stuck with them right now until the next generation happens. Then they can kind of announce what they're going to do next, which might be nothing. Might be like a rudimentary streaming box, and
it feels like it's kind of here already.
But like, I don't think they're gonna
like
really,
the next generation.
I don't think they're gonna reveal their hand until Sony shows the PS6.
Mm-hmm. It is weird. They did all the R&D on those three consoles and build them.
I mean, they're just the same thing. They're just the same. As
yeah, I mean, the R&D on it's probably not all that expensive.
They didn't R&D anything. They just put a larger SSD in them.
Is that all they did?
Yeah, there's no power differential.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically the same hardware.
Yeah, they just have larger solid state drives. That's it. You can do that at home.
Yeah. But to me, it's like, it was a big story this week that was kind of a nothing story. It's like, if people aren't buying something, does it matter how expensive it is?
Not really.
I said on Ask Shane Anything, it's like the analogy of, like, if a tree falls in the woods and there's no one around to hear it, does it make a sound? I feel like that's kind of like Xbox raising the prices on the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. Like, if no one's buying it, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, the accessories are probably more of an issue, just because you might need a controller one day.
And then sort of the other angle to that was, we've talked before about how Xbox Series S was the cheapest entry point for Grand Theft Auto 6. And so people would be like, hey, I could spend $350 to buy a console to play GTA instead of $500 or $600 or $700 if you're talking about PS5 Pro.
Xbox?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, PS5 and Xbox Series, yeah. So, but now, the game's delayed another year. What's that Xbox Series S version going to look like in a year's time? Yeah. Who knows? So it'll be interesting to see. I'm actually interested to see what chat is saying about this, about Xbox. Oh, sorry, we lost our net input because we shut it down. Just give me 1 second to resend it. I mean, most of our audience, they all are PS5 owners anyway, so it's not that big of a deal for them. But we do, I mean, we have some Xbox fans for sure on SIFTD, like a lot of them. So let's see what you guys are saying. Erebus, who is a big Xbox fan, he will tell you that himself. You say that, but an Xbox Series X and a year of Game Pass Ultimate will cost you way less than buying a PS5 and all those games a la carte, and you still won't get a PC on the same level as a Series X for the same sort of money. It's a great value for money if you just want to play games. I mean, I will say this, the Xbox Series X is a pretty good cheap PC, gaming PC. You definitely could not build a gaming PC for $600 that performs at the level Series X does.
No.
So it still is technically a good deal, but people just aren't buying it.
But my PC can play PlayStation games.
You're right.
When they
eventually
show up.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it plays Xbox games too, though.
Yeah.
Too Medic, I have to use Game Pass on my iPhone to keep up with all these games in 2025 playing before work, etc. So you play Game Pass on your phone. Interesting. I wonder how those controls work out for you. Vincent also says the cheaper Series X is missing a disk drive. Yeah, they took it out. Yep. Cinetype says trees falling do make a sound. That's how it works.
That's true.
You're right. Big Smoke 82. I was an Xbox owner since the original. I sold my Series X last year as I just had no use for it anymore. So it was your second console. You already had a PS5, I'm guessing.
Or PC.
I mean, there's honestly, Matt, like other than me being able to play on the couch, there's no reason for me to have an Xbox Series X now that I've built a PC, a gaming PC. But I still find myself playing my Series X because I can sit on the couch way more than I play my gaming PC. I only play my gaming PC when a publisher or developer sends me review code and they only have PC versions left. I still ask for PS5 if I can get it, or Xbox Series X so I can play it sitting on the couch. Erebus says all 2 of those PlayStation games. Yeah, there aren't a lot of those coming out. I saw today, Matt, that last month the top 3 grossing games on PlayStation 5 were Xbox games. The top 3. I mean... If you're Sony, you got to be sitting there being like, dang, man, well, that's embarrassing.
But they do get a cut of all that.
They do. So. I mean, they're making money off of all of it, but it's got to be embarrassing, man, to watch what used to be your biggest competitor making all of its money off of your platform. I'm sure similarly to how Nintendo felt back when Sega went third party back in the day. Was that 2001?
Sega was never part of Nintendo.
No, I'm saying like... They were rivals, and then all of a sudden, Sega is releasing games on Nintendo's platform and making money on its platform. And I would argue it probably sold more Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube than it probably did on other platforms.
I mean, I think wasn't that all it was on? It was just
was it GameCube
it was just Dreamcast and GameCube.
Was it?
I don't think it was on Xbox. But yes, it sold way more on GameCube than on Dreamcast, obviously.
Big Smoke says it was my main console. Okay. So you went and bought a PS5 or you built yourself a PC? What did you end up doing there? Two Medic says I use the Razer Kisha controller for the phone. So you have like a grip on your phone or whatever. Those are actually pretty good. Have you tried one of those lately?
No.
They used to suck. They're way better now.
I'm sure. Why would I play anything on my phone?
Big Smoke says I play PS5 and Switch now. So it was your only console, so you sold the Series X and got a PS5, I'm guessing. Fire Native says I have a 65-inch Samsung, 120 hertz, but for those that don't want to spend $1,300 on a TV, $730 or $500 for a console that's the cheapest TV is a route to play modern games as cheap as possible. Yeah, I would always recommend that someone spend a little bit extra on their TV if they can, particularly now where consoles can output at 120 hertz, 120 frames. Luke, TG1, I have a Series X. I like being able to plug and play. I also have 200 Blu-rays. Console suits me way more. Yeah, that's a part of it too. Although most people don't care about Blu-rays anymore, but some people do.
I mean, I certainly have a large Blu-ray collection. Mm-hmm. I do wish I could find the disc drive expansion for the damn PS5 Pro because I don't have a disc drive anymore. I have the Series X, but the Xbox changes resolution at random times, which means it blacks out the screen periodically, and that happens when it's playing discs too. So I was using the PS5 as my Blu-ray player, but now it doesn't have a drive because I couldn't get one of the ones with a disc. I couldn't get one of the disc drives. I'm still waiting for that. I don't know if they'll ever restock that.
They did drop the price of the disc drive.
Yeah,
they raised the price of everything else and dropped the disc drive by like $10 or something like that. I think, which is very weird. But that's PlayStation. Never really can figure out what's going on there. But I mean, ultimately, the hardware price increase for Xbox doesn't mean very much to me.
Not really.
It just doesn't have any impact on me personally, but I also look at others, and it's like, if people weren't interested in buying the hardware, why does the price matter? So it's really kind of surprising how few people want an Xbox, considering how awesome Game Pass is, particularly like right now. Like, Game Pass is just killing it. But it feels like people had their opportunity to decide whether they wanted to buy an Xbox and Game Pass or a PS5, and they chose the PS5. And now it just feels like it's just too late, kind of. I also heard somewhere that Game Pass subscriptions have basically flatlined. That it's not growing anymore. Which I'm guessing now they're probably around 40 million, something like that. I mean, that's still like insane amounts of money that just comes in every month. But still, I think they need to grow it to closer to 100 million ultimately to make their gamble pay off. So a lot of work left to do there in Xbox land, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be able to rely on its hardware to get to the promised land, unfortunately. Honestly, I don't think this will impact sales of Xbox at all. I think it will still sell very few, and I don't think it will like take away from the people who have decided that they want Game Pass or whatever. Or Series S, maybe sales of that start to spike even more, which apparently it's already outsold Series X anyway. So maybe just more people start pushing towards that Series S, that cheaper console that isn't all that much cheaper anymore. Like, paying $430 for the Series S feels like robbery to me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would
never recommend to somebody do that. I just wouldn't. So, anyway, there you go. That's the Xbox hardware price increase. A million miles away. Thank you for Twitch Prime. Appreciate that. Akuma MVC2 says, I see the disc drives at my local Walmart and GameStop all the time for the last 3 months. I didn't even know that they sold it at retail. I thought it was order only.
I thought you had to get it through the website.
Yeah. Are you in Europe maybe where they sell things differently? Because I don't think they sell them in America.
There's a Sony store in Culver City. Maybe I should go ask them.
Yeah, they might have them actually. That's a good idea. Fire Native says, you know how MS can bump up Game Pass subs, more $80 games. That's actually true.
True.
It makes it a better deal to go to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Now, as long as they don't increase Game Pass's price again.
I mean, you kind of feel like that's coming,
Yep,
right?
it's sure. I didn't want to even speak it into existence, but yep, it probably is. Vincent says, I don't think there will be that many $80 games from Microsoft. COD might be the only one until Elder Scrolls 6. I don't know about that. But again, it doesn't matter when you can just spend $20.
I bet they'd charge $80 for Forza Horizon 6.
I bet they do too. I think the next Fable is going to be $80.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
I think all their big top shelf exclusives are going to be $80. Like everybody's doing now. It's just kind of the way it is.
All the cool kids are charging $80 now.
That way. Yep. So anyway, there you go. That's the Xbox price increase. And now it's time for a word from our sponsor, the awesome LS Cream. LS Cream is a fine cream liqueur created by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. It's inspired by an ancestral recipe from Haiti called Cray Mass, and a double gold winner for its original taste at the New York Wine and Spirit International Competition. LS Cream can be enjoyed on the rocks or as a mixer for drinks with its rich blend of fresh cream and neutral grain spirits with notes of coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It's great in coffee or to make espresso martinis. To learn more, discover amazing drink recipes, or to track down your own bottle using a handy store locator, head to creamls.com/sifted. That's creamls.com/sifted. I was actually in touch with Stevens Charles, the head of LS Cream this week, and potentially LS Cream is going to get some very good news this week. So if you could cross your fingers a little bit for LS Cream, as I've been talking about here on the show. We've been having a rough go of it with the tariffs and everything, and they're supposed to be exempt from the tariffs because they're a liquor brand, and there was some weird thing with the government where they weren't willing to exempt. Anyway, they've been going through it at LS Cream, and it sounds like some good stuff might be happening here in the next couple days, so keep your fingers crossed. But in the meantime, head to creamls.com/sifted. Head on over there, figure out how to get a bottle locally, someplace you can go drive to and pick one up. Or you can always find someplace online to buy it where they'll deliver it to your door, at least in most territories anyway. Again, go to creamls.com/sifted. LS Cream, built by gamers, built by sifters. Support your fellow gamers, support your fellow sifters. All right, and with that, it's time to talk about Borderlands 4. There was a Sony State of Play this week for Borderlands 4. Randy Pitchford looks like a homeless guy.
This?
Last Wednesday or Thursday, I think it was. Yeah.
I missed this, and I didn't see a single person talk about it.
I mean,
we had it
curated on Sifted. They ended up putting out
I sort of bleep over the Borderlands stuff.
Yeah, your mental filter is just filtering it out.
I have done enough in Borderlands.
Well, they ended up putting out a 20-minute chunk of gameplay and a brand new gameplay trailer. And Matt, I'll be honest with you, up until this point with Borderlands 4, I'm with you. I have not had a spark of interest in this game, and a lot of it has been because I really didn't enjoy Borderlands 3 all that much.
Neither did I.
I got like 12 or 13 hours in, and I was like, I'm good.
I don't think I got even that far.
It felt like it was exhausting to play it.
Yeah.
It was just like so uber and over the top and in your face.
Moment, but it was also like underneath all the bluster, it was just the same game you played 4 times already.
Right.
And like at a certain point, I remember just sitting there looking at like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like I'd replaced my main gun for like the 5th time, and I didn't even really like it that much, but it was better than what I had before. And I'm like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Like, why am I still playing this? And so I just stopped. I never really looked back. The only time I've really looked back again was Tiny Tina's
Yep.
Wonderlands, which I thought was a nice change up of the formula.
I agree. Yeah, I like that game far more than Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is, people, if you're like Matt and I, and Borderlands 3 kind of turned you off and you weren't a big fan of it, they've completely went back on pretty much everything that was in Borderlands 3. First of all, Matt, Randy Pitchford looks like a hermit, like homeless guy. I don't know what has happened to him, but
he's a homeless wizard.
He looks crazy. Even his eyes look crazy.
He's a crazy old wizard.
I don't know what's going on with him. He's an interesting cat. That's
he
all
owns
I'm
a castle now.
Yeah. I'm not surprised at all to hear that.
The Magic Castle.
Yeah, but he was obviously the host for this State of Play, and I think even he is realizing that like they needed to make a big move, because he said he compared Borderlands 4 to Borderlands 1 at least 20 times in the State of Play. He kept saying, it's like Borderlands 1. It goes back to what we tried to do with Borderlands 1. It really harkens back to what we did with the first game. He just said it over and over again. Because I do think there's a pretty large contingent of people who really loved the first Borderlands.
Yeah,
and then slowly waned in interest.
The first two Borderlands were clearly the height of everything. And like Borderlands 2 was just so much. Mm-hmm. And then like...
It was too much, I thought.
And then it was. And then the pre-sequel was sort of like more of the same. And 3 was just like more of the same, but more of the same. And it was just like, I just couldn't. I was even kind of interested in a couple of the Borderlands 3 DLC things, but I just never touched it because I was like, I'm never going to get to the point where I can
well, if
play
you didn't like the base game, it's like, it's hard to imagine you'd like the DLC, you know?
Yeah.
Well, this 20-minute presentation, for me personally, changed my impressions of this game, and now I'm actually excited for it. So they shared a ton of stuff. I don't know if we'll get through all of it today on GameFace, but I think we'll be able to share enough of the details about it that it may change your impression of it, or you could just have completely written off the franchise at this point. I wouldn't blame you for that. First of all, just a reminder, this game does come out on September 12th. That was bumped up 2 weeks, and at first we were like, oh, that means that GTA is coming out at the end of September. Well, that didn't end up working out at all. We were definitely wrong on that one. As you probably know already, this game is set on a brand new planet. It's called Kairos. The planet has been hidden by some alien dictator called the Timekeeper. He's been like hiding it behind another planet, so nobody really knew that it existed. And then a moon crashes into the planet, and that just sends everything basically into chaos. He's using implants to control the citizens of Kairos, basically to do their bidding. So you land there with you and your Vault Hunters, and you're basically dealing with all these people who have these implants in their brains that the Timekeeper is telling them to attack you. So that's sort of like the setup for the plot. One thing that he compared a couple different times, he compared this game to Assassin's Creed. He said that there's these silos or something in the game where you go and get missions, and that those missions are much more like games like Assassin's Creed than what you're used to from Borderlands. I'm not 100% sure what he means by that.
I don't really know what that means.
He basically said that like the missions that
the missions in both of those games are go to the place and do the thing and come back.
Right.
And get a reward.
He was saying that like the missions now are more global instead of locally like centered. I don't know. I didn't really understand what he was saying, or maybe he was just trying to hitch the wagon onto the second best-selling game of 2025.
Yeah, I don't really have a theory on that.
I don't understand what he's talking about there either. But there has been
especially because like nothing about Assassin's Creed's missions really strikes me as particularly unique.
Right.
So like, what is that?
There's open world game missions. Yeah.
If you'd said like, hey, if you'd gone to me earlier and been like, hey, are the missions in Borderlands sort of like the missions in Assassin's Creed's open world games? I've been like, yeah, they're pretty much the same thing.
And don't forget, this game is open world now. It is not like how it was before, where it seemed like it was open world, but there was loadings in between certain areas. There's no loading in this at all. It is seamless, open world, go anywhere, do anything you want. And to necessitate that...
As long as what you want is shooting things.
Right, yeah. And to necessitate that, they have created a brand new mount called the Digi-Runner. It's a single-seat hovercraft that you can summon anytime you want to.
Anytime you want to catch a ride.
Yep. And so you have a mount in the game.
I did not realize that was the voice of that guy was Movies with Mikey.
Really?
Mikey Newman. He's a YouTuber now. He has a channel called Film Joy, where he does reviews and video essays on movies that are positive.
Oh,
like, he doesn't criticize them negatively. But yeah, he was one of the people that was around at Gearbox during the creation of Borderlands, and he's the voice of what's his name?
Damn.
I can't remember his name now. The guy, the catch a ride guy.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yep. The other thing that Randy kept saying over and over is that the game has a more grounded tone. That was sort of the catchphrase that he just kept repeating: grounded tone, grounded tone.
Randy, do you know what grounded means?
Because
have you seen your trailers?
I mean, I think he's just basically trying to say, like, we've toned things down a bit. It's not so aggro, in your face, at all times.
Yeah,
like,
Draylock is right. He did. A guy also wrote Borderlands 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh wow, he's got a lot of involvement in the franchise then. So anyway, the grounded tone is something he kept pushing. They showed off 2 new Vault Hunters in this state of play. Vex is a siren magic caster.
Because there's always a siren.
There always is. There's only one of 3, only like 6 that can exist at any given time.
Yeah, we're running out at this point.
Well, she is one. She has the ability to summon like these spectral creatures. Like the one that they show in the footage a lot is like a tiger, like a ghost tiger almost. So she can summon like monsters that can come out and fight for her. And then the other new Vault Hunter was named Rafa. He's kind of like the tech gadget Vault Hunter. He has an exosuit that can materialize weapons. So basically his suit just is like, hey, I need a shotgun. Zap, there's the shotgun. So those were the 2 new Vault Hunters. I think they said there's going to be 4 total playable at launch. My guess is over time they'll probably add others. They also mentioned that old favorites like Moxie and Claptrap will be in the game. They didn't extrapolate on that and explain what role they have or how big they are. You're seeing now the new hovercraft that you can summon at any time that you want to. They showed like one mission basically from its entirety, and then you hooked up with one of the characters from Borderlands 3 in that mission. You basically infiltrate a black site facility. The Vault Hunter Armada was in that. You didn't play as Armada, but she was along with you and fought alongside you. So that was kind of one of the things that they show off as far as returning characters that aren't playable Vault Hunters, how that stuff is going to work. They just kind of go along with you. To me, the coolest thing, though, I think the coolest change is that when you pick up weapons now, they already have like stuff attached to them. So you can pick up a weapon off the ground and it already is zany. It has some crazy extra ability or some elemental charge to it or something like that. So you don't have to like basically build the weapons on your own now. They basically hand them to you, which I think is a positive change. I like crafting and all that stuff as much as the next guy, but like it's nice to be able to pick up a weapon off the ground and have it be fun. Mm-hmm. Is that too much to ask? Apparently for Borderlands 4, it finally is not. All the missions in the game are replayable. So if you need to grind, you need to level up, you don't have to just go fight some dumb enemy that respawns over and over again. You can replay the missions to get more XP. Even the boss fights are replayable. So you can go back and fight a boss again to get a bunch of XP to kind of cut down on the grind. I think that's a nice addition to the game compared to the last couple entries. So yeah, as I mentioned, the guns will now spawn with licensed parts attached to them. You can pick them up right away, and they're awesome. And you can also then snap other stuff on those guns if you want to and still like craft them to what you want and use what was already built and was there when you first got it. There's a new ordnance slot that works on a cooldown, and that's your heavy weapon, like your rocket launchers and your grenades. But those just refill. You don't need ammo for those at all. So they're just on a cooldown. When the timer comes back, you can use them again. That should keep you in the fight as far as using some of the bigger guns and the more fun guns from the game. There's also rep kits in the game that allow players to buff or heal themselves mid-fight. So there's a little bit of that stim action going on. Maybe if you play a lot of Call of Duty and you use a stim, you know what that's all about. It becomes a rhythm. Fight, burst fire, get shot, use a stim, reload, burst fire, use a stim. Call of Duty players know what I'm talking about there. And then the zip line in this is far more versatile. You can use it on certain points in the levels and use it to just glide across gaps. You can also use it in combat, which is really cool. They showed some footage of using sort of the grapple in this to pull enemies in towards you and kind of do combos in the game. That kind of opens up a lot of stuff for the combat and the gameplay, which I thought was pretty cool. You can slide, you can dash, you can double jump, just like in Borderlands 3. Those are kind of 3 of the gameplay tenets that they decided they did want to bring back from Borderlands 3. I don't really have any issue with that. I feel like every shooter at this point should probably have all those traversal mechanics. Slide, dash, double jump, that should just be default for any shooter at this point. And it's going to be in Borderlands 4. And then it supports crossplay and 2-player split screen co-op at launch. You can set your own player-specific difficulty. I don't know how they could do this with split screen. or honestly how they do it in online co-op. How did two players play in the same game have different difficulty settings?
I mean, they did that with Destiny too. You just normalize the damage.
Oh. So the other player is seeing just different damage?
More or less.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, I think that's how you do it, which is...
not ideal.
Well, no, it's just it sort of gives away the level curve. But, like, yeah, that's how Destiny used to do it. It was like if everybody was kind of doing the same amount of damage, you just had different numbers popping up.
I didn't know that, actually. I had never experienced that before. The other thing that's cool is that loot is instanced, so you're not racing people to pick up loot, which is my biggest pet peeve of cooperative games, is that you play with somebody who's really good, knows where they're going, knows what they're doing, and they pick up every piece of valuable loot. And you're just like running after them, trying to keep up with them the whole time. That happens all the time with me in co-op games. So I'm very good to hear that the loot in this is instant, and you're not racing people to pick it up before someone else can grab it. They also said that one of the biggest changes that they made from Borderlands 3 is that there are going to be far less rare and legendary drops. Because I didn't realize it when I was playing it, Matt, but when they mentioned this, then I did. That loot kind of lost its meaning in Borderlands 3. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like I was getting rares and legendaries in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, you were. I mean, in fact, that clip right there, they just dropped.
Showed you picking up one?
Yeah.
But they said that they are dialing that way back. But the flip side of that is that now those rares and legendaries are far more powerful than they used to be.
As they should be.
Right. So you don't get as many, but when you do get one, they pack a much bigger wall.
And when you do get one, it's going to be the kind of weapon you don't like.
Right. It's going to be like you hate sniper rifles, you're going to get a sniper rifle. You're right. It always works out that way.
Oh, good. A legendary pistol.
Yeah, exactly. Some people like pistols, though.
Some do, but like...
Yeah.
I like a burst fire machine gun.
Me too. I'm an assault rifle guy with burst fire. That's how I play.
I wouldn't say no to a sniper rifle, but it's always going to be my secondary.
Yeah.
I'd rather have I had in Borderlands 1, I had this green, like, it was a green assault rifle that just shot 3-round bursts, and it had almost no other special effects, but had a really high damage.
Uh-huh.
And I used that thing for like 40 hours.
Yeah.
Like it was the
you
best.
Found a gun that you like.
I swapped other things that I found. None of them were as good as just dependable, extremely accurate. I could place it on the head of anything, like no problem. And that gun was just the best.
Yeah.
I used it for the whole second half of the game.
I love it when you find a gun like that in any game. And then kind of the final thing that they shared is that you can unlock enhancements that make certain weapon brands more powerful than others. A lot of the weapon brands from prior Borderlands games, including Borderlands 3, are going to make a return for this as well. So a lot of the popular brands that you've come to know and love over the years, you're going to be able to get a little nostalgic with those. And that's pretty much the extent of the new information, which is a lot for like a 30-minute state of play. They really did pack it with new information, and in all honesty, information I was hoping to hear about this game, because, I mean, if you've been watching GameFace, you know that both Matt and I have been really sour on this game, just really struggling to find a reason to get excited about it. I am excited for it now, not over the moon, but I am more excited for it now after the state of play than before it, and I think that's probably the goal of the state of play, because I do feel like this game was tracking really low. Mm-hmm. In fact, he had kind of made a couple comments over the last month or two, like telling people, like, you're wrong for not being excited about Borderlands 4. That's a sure way to...
Well, I've changed my mind now. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with this game, Matt. Honestly, I don't know.
I feel like this thing's going to bomb.
You think it is?
I feel like it will.
I feel like it's kind of teetering on the fence right now, like 50-50. Like, what happens in the next, like, 4 or 5 months could make a big difference for this game, I think.
Yeah, and what else comes out in September? Doesn't sound like much right now.
No, I think they did find a kind of a little bit of a window for themselves there, because most big games don't come out in September. Yeah. It's October or November.
There's usually one big game.
Right.
Usually you get something, a couple of things in August and September, and then everything crowds into October and November.
Yeah.
But if anything's done by then, usually you see it put out around then.
Yeah.
There was a time when Forza tended to come out in
That's
September.
true. That is true. Yeah. I mean, you get Madden in August, but
yeah,
that whole August-September window is pretty much wide open.
Yeah, some years it's really packed, and some years it's nothing.
EA Sports FC usually comes out in September, but, you know, you're not... There's not a lot of crossover between EA Sports FC and Borderlands 4, I'm guessing.
You're really just up against Marathon, I guess. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't feel like...
Are you really up against it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe if they make it free to play.
Maybe. But
then maybe it has a chance, but otherwise I think Borderlands is probably just going to dwarf it. So
most likely.
Are you more excited for Borderlands 4 after hearing about this stuff? Did it change anything for you?
Excited is a strong word.
Yeah. I kind of figured.
More willing to look.
Yeah.
Would probably be the best way to describe it.
Yeah. What about y'all? Let's check in with you guys real quick.
I think somebody said it earlier. I don't remember who said it in the chat, but somebody said it earlier when you were running down the stuff. Like, one of their problems with Borderlands 3 was they thought all 4 of the classes were really boring. And I do remember feeling like that. I remember, because I think I picked I ended up picking the soldier guy again in that, because the other classes just looked dumb to me.
Right.
Like, one of the issues I've had with Borderlands the whole time, even going back to the first one to some degree, is how limited the classes seem. It's always been like, especially at launch, it's like, here's 4 characters, they all do very, very specific things, and if you don't particularly like that thing, fuck you.
You're out of luck. Yeah.
And like, certainly in Borderlands 3, I do have a memory of not really liking any of them and kind of defaulting to the one that was the most like Roland.
I always play that anyway.
I mean, I didn't want to, because I played that all. I played that all through the first one, and I think I played the sniper guy in the second one.
Yeah.
0 or whatever. And then 3, I was just like, I don't know. I don't want to play any of these characters. And like, that's a big problem. And I kind of run into that with Diablo 4 a little bit too, where it's like was only one class in that I want to play was Necromancer.
Big Smoke 82. Randy looked like he had a lung full of Peruvian marching powder before he filmed that. He did, man. He looked wild. Like, he had wild eyes. I don't know what was going on there. I mean, he could have just been on medication that he takes I don't know, but I was like, hello. Erebus says it's FPS Diablo. I couldn't be more excited for this. I mean, you're kind of right. That is what it is, really.
Yeah. But in the same, I mean, I bring up Diablo in that vein, is like, sometimes Diablo and sometimes like Path of Exile and some of those games, when they have the set classes, I don't like any of them.
I agree. I always try to find the most generic guy that I can shape to what I want.
As good as the game was, that was always my problem with Grim Dawn, is I didn't like any of the classes very much. And I sort of had to settle for like a witch hunter kind of thing or something, and it just wasn't what I wanted to play, really. Despite how good the rest of the game was, the character selections didn't do it for me. Borderlands has that problem more than most.
I agree. I've never really resonated with any of the characters in that franchise. No. Like any of them, even the popular ones.
Well, even like I really like the Siren idea.
Yeah.
But I've never liked how any of
playing
them
is one of them. Yeah, I agree. What else we got here? Eth Demon says Borderlands 2 is the best of the bunch, but it needed to evolve, and it didn't in the later games.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that.
Yeah.
Borderlands 2 felt like, as a 2 generally should, it felt like, okay, 1 was sort of the dry run for 2, and 2 was sort of like the game we really wanted to make for the first time, but now we know what we're doing, and we can really make it pop. And I think that's what Borderlands 2 was, and I don't think anything they've made in the Borderlands series since then has been that to 2.
Well, Borderlands 1 was pretty innovative. Like, was it the first shooter RPG?
It was the first one I can remember that had like the numbers pop, or the numbers crunching was the big deal.
It felt like you were playing an RPG instead of just a shooter.
Yeah.
So it was innovative.
It's certainly
for
the first
time.
one that I think communicated it properly. And then 2, I think, was as big and kind of broad as like they wanted the first one to be. And Borderlands 2 kind of felt like the game Borderlands wanted to be. And then beyond,
that's the way a lot of Part 2s are.
Which it should be. There's another Assassin's Creed comparison.
Right.
But then, also similar to Assassin's Creed, after that, you're sort of like, what are you doing?
Right, yeah, where are you going?
Where are you? Come back. Come back. You don't go where I can't follow, Borderlands. And also, give me a better character selection.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes, like, after all the DLC was out, I'd be like, oh, the character selection in 3 looks better now that they've added some character classes. But I'm like, I'm not going to.
I'm not going back. That ship has sailed. Ashes in the Hourglass says Borderlands kind of anticipated the looter shooter and game as a service craze, many of which are free, so I think these games are less of a big deal now. That's a good point.
Somewhat, although like you could flip that on its head and be like, here's a looter shooter that isn't going to constantly ask you for money.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a complete game in a box, more than those are.
Legacy says Borderlands is a good version of Destiny in my opinion. I think I'd rather play Destiny actually.
I think Destiny
That's
generally
a close
feels
one
better.
though.
They are very closely related.
They are, yeah. I think the gunplay feels a little better in Destiny. That's why I would choose it.
Although I think the setting and story are better realized in Borderlands.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too.
As sick as I was of Pandora.
At least I kind of understand what the hell's happening in
Yeah,
Borderlands.
exactly. And also they don't lock half the shit away in a vault.
Right. Or just get rid of it and
Yeah.
act like the story never happened.
Yeah, at least I mean Borderlands is about going to open the vault.
Right.
Not put half your content in the vault.
That's a good point.
Maybe that's what the Vault Hunters are looking for, the rest of Destiny 2.
That's funny. Ashes in the Hourglass follows up with, that's a lie, Shane. No one likes crafting. Nightwing 3060. Do you get new guns if you replay the mission? I don't think so. I think you just keep your loadout that you have and you just select to replay the mission.
I think they mean is loot.
Oh, the loot.
Yeah, like will the bosses always drop the same kind of guns? Or
they didn't say anything about that.
I'd imagine it's just random as all hell.
Probably
scaled to your level.
Or I think if you get drops the first time you fight the boss, maybe you don't get drops at all.
I'm sure if there's a specific like story related drop, you don't get it. But I'm sure you can grind for more guns or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Tiny blip in history. What I had in mind for Borderlands 4 was all weapon brands create only weapon base frame. Then we will customize farming weapon parts. Yeah,
I do wish you had a little more control over what they were. Like sometimes I remember finding weapons and I'm like, this would be really cool if it just didn't do this or if it did do that. And I wish I could like, I don't know, pay money, pay currency in the game or something, or use like some of those stupid keys they constantly give away to just change some elements of a gun I really like into something that I really, really like.
Right. Yeah. Hit point and damage percentage scaling is how you would do it. Yeah, I can see that. Erebus Jones, Borderlands have always been pretty good sellers, and it's up against Marathon. I don't think the third one did sell that well, though. I think the sales went down.
It seemed to fall short. Like I think there was definitely seemed to be some disappointment over the sales of 3, although they never kind of came right out and said it.
Mm-hmm. Fried X100, I'm a day one Borderlands sucker. Fair enough, man. Everybody has their own things that they really like. That's totally fine. Vinaraba says the Borderlands comedy became overdone for me. I think that's what he was getting at when he was saying that they've toned it down. And
Tiny Tina kind of like popped a cork on that whole thing, and like all of a sudden Borderlands was just like a constant whack. It was like a giant skit at the time, and I think they got it out of their system in Wonderlands, and now they're kind of.
Yep, that's what he kept hinting at. Is like it's not as crazy as the last one.
I mean, it's always been a little irreverent. I mean, this is a series that the first,
and I don't want the comedy to go away.
The opening title starts with a dog being run over by a bus. I mean, it's clearly not. It's clearly tongue in cheek, but it was just a point where I think Tiny Tina is sort of the emblem of how far over the top they went with it.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, there you go. That's Borderlands 4. That's a big preview for you guys of the game. Again, it comes on September 12th. I'm sure we'll talk about it at least once or twice more before its release date comes. We actually review it here on GameFace. That might be one we do a live review for, depending on how busy September is. We'll see. Mm-hmm. But maybe not. But we'll probably touch on this game a couple more times before it finally comes out here in about 4 or 5 months. Okay, next up. We're going to talk about a smaller game that I played this week that actually hasn't come out yet. They sent me a review code. It's a game called Revenge of the Savage Planet. It is selling for $40 right now if you buy it, but it's another Game Pass game. And it launches either tomorrow or the day after, both on Game Pass and for purchase. Although, if you want to spend extra money, you can play it right now. It just seems like every game is that way now. It's like... I think it was somebody said this week that like it was an analyst that said people have actually been paying $70 or $80 for games for a while now, between buying like the collector's editions that cost $100, $200, or spending the extra money to play it 3 days early, or buying DLC or whatever. That the average spend on a game has actually gone up for quite a while now, but it's just like seeing that number kind of just makes people freak out.
It's like you don't have to pay it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you don't have to pay the $40 for Revenge of the Savage Planet either, because as I said, it is on Game Pass, and it launches day and date on Game Pass with the versions that you can pay for. It is, and Matt, I did not play the first game, and that's Journey to the Savage Planet.
Yeah, I did play that.
Now that I've played this, I wish I had played the first game.
The first one is a lot more folded in than this one seems to be. Like, it's not as expansive, but it
like
is...
Like the world, you mean?
Yeah, the world in the story. Like, there's no video of this. It's all audio. Like, it was definitely made for less money.
Oh, okay.
But it is a very involved... It's a Metroidvania-y kind of...
This is too.
Yeah, puzzle and combat somewhat. But it's also, like... I mean, it's... There were times when I kind of conflated it with the Outer Worlds because it has a very similar tone, and that like you're a disposable worker who's sent to another. Yeah,
that has come through in the second too. Yeah, so you basically the setup for this game is that you're sent to a far-flung planet to populate it with humanity. Basically, you're going there to have babies and reestablish humanity on this other planet. The problem is, first of all, you like basically crash land on the planet. And then second of all, once you crash land and you finally make it to your little base, you find out that you've been fired. You've been asleep for 1,000 years in cryosleep, traveling to this planet. You finally get there, you get into the base, you set everything up, and they're like, you're fired. And so basically, you're just like, well, we're here. We might as well try to make the best of it. And then it just becomes a question of you trying to survive, basically, on this alien planet. The tone of this is very much the same as what you mentioned. It's like twisted and lighthearted at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's like you're in this horrible situation, but you have this little, as you're going to see, you'll pick it up out of the sand here. You have this little drone sidekick that travels around with you. Did you have that in the first game?
No, but you always had the voice of the ship in your ear.
Same deal here. This thing follows you around, but it's just very chatty, and it is very well written. In fact, the drone in this is hilarious. Now, one thing I will say is they give you the opportunity to set how much you want it to talk. If you have it set all the way to the top, it literally never shuts up. If you set it in the middle, you do go 5 or 10 minutes without hearing anything from the drone. If you set it at the bottom, you don't hear really anything at all. I tried to set it in the middle, but I really felt like it cut out like all the jokes from the drone. And I thought the jokes were legitimately funny that they wrote for the drone. So I ended up turning it back up to the full amount, and it does get a little bit annoying at times. You're like, dude, just shut up sometimes. But also, they deliver some one-line zingers, like, pretty consistently. So I recommend leaving the drone voice on. You can choose and handle it however you want. But it does have this kind of slapstick, like, you're kind of a buffoon. Like, you can just see in the animation and how you run in this. Like, you walk, you run really goofy. You're kind of, like, uncoordinated and awkward.
Yeah, we've been in cryosleep for 1,000
years.
Yeah,
that might have something to do with it for sure. The
first game was first person.
Was it? Oh, yeah, you're right, it was. And this is all third person. I don't think you can even switch to first person if you want to in this. I think that's probably a good decision. I think that adds more character to the lead character.
It also, again, differentiates it more from Outer Worlds, which, again, it was very similar, almost in art style, too, to Outer Worlds in the first game. This is a much more Looney Tunes animation choice.
Now, Matt, did the first game have scanning in it?
Yes, it had a lot of scanning.
I mean, this game is Scan City. You can scan everything in the game. And in fact, it becomes almost like fun to go into your scan visor vision and look for anything that hasn't been scanned.
Yeah, the first one, I mean, doesn't look as extensive. The way you were having to scan every piece of the wreckage, that seems more extensive than the first one. But the first one was you were supposed to be, the first one you were on a planet, you were supposed to be surveying it, basically for usage like this. It's like almost like you were the first wave
to find out
a planet that you could be sent, that people could be sent to do this.
Gotcha.
This is a different team.
It is.
I think the studio that made the first one went out of business. I think.
Oh, because this is 5 years after the first one.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since.
So maybe this is some of the same people reforming a new company. I don't know what. But I thought the company that made the first one went out of business.
I didn't see that actually about this game, but it does have.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know.
Yeah, but this game does have the kind of Helldivers 2 propaganda videos that are, and they are legitimately funny. Like, as you complete certain missions and then go back to home base and go into where you can, like, use the computer and change your clothing and everything, they just fire off these random, like, propaganda videos inside the station.
Every time you went back to the home base ship in the first one, you'd get a new, like, weird commercial for the company you worked for.
And weird is right. Like, they are weird.
I mean, it's like the, again, Outer Worlds, same thing, you know, just how stupid or crazy you have to be to believe any of this shit that these people believe, but it's just like, you know, and
we're living it right now.
Yeah, true. Obviously, your character doesn't talk, so you don't know what your character thinks about these things. There's no other people around,
and he doesn't in this one either.
Yeah, but it's not like Outer Worlds where you're like, oh, everyone here is nuts.
Yeah,
like, you know, but this is more like I'm trying to survive, and you just keep shoving all this nonsense in my ear.
Yeah,
but that's part of the joke. So.
Yeah. And this game has plenty of that. All the weird commercials running in the TV, some propaganda videos. Definitely set the tone for the game. And try to give you some semblance of purpose for why you're continuing on, even though there's really no reason to continue on. So this is a cooperative game. As Matt mentioned, the first one did not have cooperative play. However, there's a bit of a caveat here. It's another one of those cooperative games where you can't just match up with random players, and that proved to be an issue for me. I was not able to play it very much in co-op because I only had one friend on my friends list who was also playing this early, and it was hard to schedule stuff with him. I played like an hour cooperatively, and in all honesty...
That does seem odd for this.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of understand it on Split Fiction, where, like, you want it to be a couch co-op thing. Like, online co-op's kind of sort of like, we have to have it, so we're going to kind of put it in, whatever. But this doesn't feel like it has that.
It does have couch co-op. It does have split screen.
Sure, it does, but it's just like, it doesn't feel like it's as dedicated to that idea as Split Fiction would be.
No, Split Fiction, you couldn't play it without the partner.
Right.
In this, you absolutely can. I played the bulk of this game by myself, and it feels like it's tuned very well to play it by yourself. When I had the time to play with somebody else, I've struggled to figure out, like, why the other person was there. Like, there is some combat stuff where you can kind of do combos with the other player, but what we ended up doing was like, hey, here's our 2 goals for today. You go tackle this one on this side of the world. I'll go tackle the other one on this side of the world. Once we finish them, we'll come back together and put all the resources back into our base or whatever.
That's weird, because like the first one really kind of thrived on the idea that you were alone. The idea that you were, like Metroid. It kind of had this thing where you were exploring this thing and it was only you, and like it was like...
And playing solo this game, it has a Metroid vibe to it for sure. Because it's also very alien. Like the world in this is awesome. It really feels alive. And that there is just stuff happening out there, regardless of whether you're there or not. Like there's an emergent feeling to the game that sometimes can trap you. Like I died a bunch in this game because just sometimes like a chain reaction will happen. Like you'll start, you'll throw a bomb at something. It'll blow up the enemy that you threw the bomb at, but it will also catch on fire this goo that's on the grass, and it will just immediately scorch the earth and burn you up if you're standing in the goo. There's stuff like that happens in this game all the time. So it is one of those games where just randomly sometimes you just die, but it's also like funny and interesting how it usually happens. It's not always your fault. You just get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. But it's fun and funny. And the punishment for dying in this, it's not that bad. You do lose all your stuff. So if you go back, they replicate you, but they can't replicate all the stuff that you had collected. So it's like Dark Souls. You do have to go back and find your bundle of stuff to get all that stuff back. But you also find plenty of fast travel points in this. So you can fast travel from your base to any of these spots. And once you start unlocking those and have like plenty of fast travel points, it's not that big of a deal to go back and get your stuff, but it is a little bit of an inconvenience, just something to keep in mind.
The chat says that they started a new company because the previous one was a Stadia studio.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Vincent says they got bought by Google, were closed, and then reformed under the new name with the rights to the IP.
There are jokes about Google Stadia in this game. So there you go. I was even kind of wondering. I'm like, why do they talk about Google Stadia in this? And now
Alex Hutchison, the former Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed 3 director, he's the studio head or the lead designer, and he was the one who said that streamers should pay licenses for games.
Oh, well,
good luck with that.
Yep. So as Matt pointed out, this game is all third person. The first game was all in first person. I did not even see a way to shift to first person in this, and it is a Metroidvania. So you're seeing right now the Metroidvania stuff at work. I got to this wall, I scanned it. They're like, you need something else to break down these purple crystals. Eventually, I got a gun. I come back with the gun. I can shoot the crystals down. And that's how the game works. Like, eventually you get to these walls that have, like, cracks in them, and you need to find bombs and take the bombs to the cracks in the walls to blow open the cracks in the walls. And it's a Metroidvania in that way. That's how the whole thing works. This particular scene, you're collecting these weird worms and then feeding them to this tree guy, and then his roots will rescind, and you'll be able to go through. So that's another way that they sort of gatekeep the world in this. This world is gigantic. They could have just made one biome and the world was plenty big enough. There are 4. And I will say this, it did feel like eventually that there weren't enough systems and things to do in the game to get through the 4 biomes.
It's New Florida, now I see.
Yeah. Yep. But here you can see kind of how big the open world is and how sprawling it is. There's no loading times in this either. It's one big seamless open world. And again, there's 4 different biomes, so eventually you get to try things other than the jungle. But all the B-roll, obviously, we always try to capture from the first hour or so we don't spoil anything for you guys. So all the B-roll is going to be from this first jungle area. But the big mechanic in this, more than anything, is 3D printing. So you have this 3D printer that you can use to create stuff with the resources that you gather. And, you know, you get weapons and stuff like that you would think that you would always get. But it also, you can sort of craft these buffs as well that, like, eliminate fall damage or upgrade your suit so that you can take more damage. You can upgrade the scan visor so it scans stuff from further away or it scans things more quickly. All that stuff is handled with the crafting. And then also, another big mechanic of the game is building out your base. So you don't necessarily build out that building. Eventually, you start calling down new buildings from orbit. So you have this huge ship in space that has buildings in it. And once you accomplish certain objectives in the game, you can then call the satellite to send the building down from space to land like next to the building that you have there. So you can expand your overall area with new buildings, but inside your base, you can also add furniture and wall hangings and all this other. I don't really think there's any point to that at all. I did it just to see what it was like and to see how the interface worked. It's kind of clunky and doesn't work great. But ultimately, there's no reason to do it. It's just, hey, we have you collecting these resources. We don't really know what we should have you do with it. So here, we're going to let you craft a bunch of stuff to put in your base. So if you're into that kind of stuff, just for the cosmetic side of it, that's great. But I found little interest in it. I put a couple things in my base. Here you can see the prices are insane in the early part of the game. It's like you have no gold and everything's like 349 million credits or whatever. So you have that, and then you have there's 3 different resources that you collect. They're just basically these orbs. There's like blue, green, and gold. And those are the things that you use with the 3D printing machine to print your buffs and your gear upgrades, your gun upgrades, all that kind of stuff. The upgrade trees are pretty simple. They don't go too deep. Like the pistol has 3 upgrades, then the rifle has 3 upgrades. It doesn't go crazy. So you can scan, but also you can click the right stick, and it does a sweep of the area to show you like where all the important stuff is. It's very hard to like not know where to go or what to do in this game. You just click the right stick and everything highlights. There's also sound effects. So it's like you see those like white rings. Those are the resources that you collect to go and use in the 3D printer. The other thing that I thought was really cool is mission objectives in this. So let's say you go to the 3D printer and it shows you this upgrade. You're like, oh, I like that. I want that. It will tell you what mission you need to complete to trigger the ability to upgrade for that upgrade. So it's very smart. It'll be like, okay, this is the mission that you need to complete. Go and complete it. This will be unlocked. You can come back to the 3D printer and you can print the upgrade. So it's pretty slick in how it handles that stuff. Some of this stuff is a little weird, like trying to get these resources. Like sometimes like you'll try to do the automatic jump up onto the top, and I don't know why they place them on the edge. It's almost like it's to F with the player in some way. Eventually you get a grapple hook and you can grapple to these locations so you don't have to like jump and climb as much. But like the traversal in this, it's like when you first start playing, it feels like you're playing in like no gravity. Like the jumps are really high. It seems a little loosey-goosey. See how you slip on the stuff? So like anything that's left behind by enemies can be a danger. So you slip on the green stuff, the red stuff actually hurts you. And that's how you can die in this game. You can get caught up where you're like bouncing around on the red goo and it's just sending you back and forth until you basically die. And there's nothing you can do about it but just sit back and laugh, basically. But there's 3 resources to collect that you can use in the 3D printer, and they're everywhere. Like I said, you click the right stick, it shows you where they are. They're not tucked away, hidden away. Like they show you where everything is, basically. It is weird, too, how he reacts in water because he can swim. It's like he runs in like the shallow water. He acts like it's killing him, but then he can swim.
Well, it looks like he's trying to pick his feet up to not slow down.
Maybe.
I think that's what that's supposed to be.
So these orange things, they increase your health and your armor, basically. Well, you can see health and stamina there. There is a stamina bar in this, but it never really gets that annoying. If you collect those orange things you just saw, you'll get another segment of your health bar that you're seeing down there in the bottom left. Yeah. And that's pretty much the bulk of the game. As I said, there are tons of fast travel points to be able to get around very easily.
Is there fall damage?
There is, but eventually you can get an upgrade at the 3D printer that eliminates fall damage. And even the fall damage, so you have a double jump in this, so you can fall off a cliff that's like a mile up and just wait till you're 10 feet above the ground and hit the second burst. And
just how you're supposed to survive an elevator falling.
Jump right before it hits
the last second.
Yep. Have they proven if that actually would work?
It does not work.
Yeah, I figured it would not work. And then, like, some of the enemies are kind of interesting in how they work. So, see that beetle with, like, the grapes on its back or whatever? Like, you scan enemies in this. As we mentioned, scanning's a big part of the game. It will tell you, like, how to take down the enemy. So, for those beetles, like, you need to take out... You get a whip, eventually, that you can use to whip enemies with a weapon, but it also captures enemies. So, basically, they're like, whip the enemy with your whip, and then it'll take off the grapes, and that exposes its weak point. And then once the weak point is exposed, you can shoot the weak point, and the enemies will go into, like, this dazed phase where they're, like, dizzy or whatever. And that's when you pull out the lasso and you collect them. And that's a whole other part of the game, is collecting the creatures. You go back, one of the first buildings that you get, aside from your base, is a pen to keep all the animals that you collect out in the world. And you can go back and observe them and blah, blah, blah. It's just another thing that they're asking you to check off of the list of stuff that you're collecting, basically. The controls, as I said, feel a little low gravity. The walk and run, it feels like he has a stick up his butt. But it's pretty cool how he reacts to all the stuff in the world. All the goo that's on the ground, he reacts to it. He slips on it. He can fall. He can take damage from it. And like you can see here, this is like a little boss fight or whatever. They use the goo on the ground to keep you from being able to run. You can see the lighter green stuff there. That's basically like, okay, you're going to fight. You're going to go through this boss fight. But you're also going to have to navigate the goo on the ground and hope that you don't slip when the enemy's trying to attack you. So that's kind of one of the ways that they ratchet up the difficulty, is by putting the stuff on the ground that makes it harder to traverse. As I said, there's plenty of orange plants. You can see one right there. You just walk up to them. They replenish your health pretty much entirely. If you pay attention, you will never die in this game. Like, I just have fun playing games a lot of times. I don't care if I die. And I also want to see what happens when you die, to see, do they take your weapons away? Which in this case they don't, but they take away all your resources. But if you really pay attention and you're just, oh my gosh, I've lost half my health, I'm going to look for a health replenishing plant, you will never die in this game. Unless you just get caught in some weird dichotomy where you get bounced around by like the goo on the ground or whatever. But the controls in this are very loosey-goosey. You can jump literally a country mile. You'll see, I think right here, you'll see how far you can jump. Like, not this, but like eventually you start getting to places where you're like, there's no way in hell I can make that jump. Oh yeah, you can. You can literally jump like a mile once you get used to the physics and perfectly timing the second of your double jump. And then as you can see there's cosmetics that you can get. The cosmetics make more sense in this than they did in Clair Obscur. Like in this, the cosmetics actually make sense. Like they also do some crossovers. Like there's Dave the Diver cosmetics in this. Did that studio make this game?
No.
Well, you can be Dave the Diver in this. I don't know if the code that they sent me unlocked that earlier than I was supposed to get it, but like there's that. There's like a crazy fox costume that you can dress up as. They really kind of go all out with the cosmetics in this game. The survival elements, I hate survival games. This is not a survival game. You're not constantly like, you don't have to find stuff to eat. You don't have to sleep. You're just basically, when they say survival, it really just means stay alive in this game, and that's pretty much the extent of it. You can see here's a boss fight. I was able to cheese this boss, though, and go up on a rock and shoot him from the rock. So there's some oversights in the game, but ultimately I didn't find too many bugs or other issues like that where I was able to cheese the game. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Like, the one thing I would say that probably struck me the most about this game is how it feels alive. Like, the world feels alive. Everything is interacting. Like, you'll see animals fighting each other and going about their way. Not quite to the extent as Monster Hunter Worlds. But you can still see, like, the enemy or the monsters, like, getting on each other, fighting with each other, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's Revenge of the Savage Planet. It's $40. It's available for PC, PS5, Xbox Series, and Game Pass. As we always say, Game Pass, $20. Hard to tell you to like buy the game at full price. And as I've said, the co-op in this, it's pretty cool. It's not great, but again, you can't match up with randoms online. You have to play with people on your friends list, and that's a little bit annoying because there are people awake, they live in some other country or whatever. I struggled to find somebody to play with during the review period. Obviously, that's a little different because not everybody is playing then. But yeah, you can't just match up with random players online and just play with somebody if you don't have a friend who's ready and willing, waiting on your friends list. So, do you have any questions about the game, Matt?
Not really. It looks pretty straightforward. I mean, it looks like it's something I'd like.
You will love it. I think you will really like it. The scanning, first of all, you love scanning in video games, and this might be the most scanning I've ever seen in a video game. It really is a big part of the gameplay, and you need to do it to make progress. We're in some other games, it's just like, hey, scan this thing, learn about this monster. Don't want to? No big deal.
Breaking news from Adam3140_1.
Oh, let's go to chat.
Alex Garland might be directing an Elden Ring movie for A24 next year.
Oh, A24 is going to sign the Elden Ring film. I didn't realize that. Interesting.
Garland is a pretty crazy get.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, Elden Ring's huge, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sold like 50 million at this point or something crazy like that.
Well, it's interesting to see who's into, like, you never know, like, what's his name? The guy who plays Krennic from Rogue One and in Andor this season. He's a Dark Souls player.
Oh, really?
Like, he was talking about how he quit. He actually quit playing Dark Souls 3 because of the Nameless King or something. Like, he's like, I don't know, I just didn't know what to do. And he's just like, so it was too much for me. I had to walk away. I'm sorry, I couldn't get good. And people were like, oh, he's an optional boss, you idiot. And it's just like, man, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, at least
let him alone.
Like, this 60-year-old man is playing
connect.
Dark Souls and having a good time.
Seriously,
like, talking
man.
about in an interview about his movie. Like, just come on.
Yeah.
Be happy that those games have infiltrated that far.
Seriously. To where a geriatric person is playing them, for sure. Do you guys have any questions about Revenge of the Savage Planet before we move on?
It looks like the Elden Ring article about the Elden Ring thing was taken down.
Oh.
So maybe that was false.
Maybe it was false, or it was under embargo and somebody published it before they're supposed to. I see that stuff all the time, by the way, because websites will slip up.
That does happen sometimes.
And because we use their RSS feeds, it goes out in their RSS feed, and they can't get it back. Mm-hmm. And so I see all the screw-ups that every website makes, and they make them pretty frequently.
I'm amazed at how, like, just no one's paying attention to what they're publishing anymore. As the weekend was ending, was it Sunday or maybe it was yesterday morning? It was the box office report for the weekend, and one of the Thunderbolts was the big release, and Sinners only dropped 26% in its third weekend, and that was only because it lost the IMAX screens.
Wow.
Crazy. But one of the things people didn't really notice came out very, very quietly was Rust.
Yeah,
which was that Western that Alec Baldwin
right.
shot the camera.
They put that movie out still.
Still came out. It still came out. Very small release, but this is real. The Hollywood Reporter put up their report of the box office and said, like, Thunderbolts makes Alec Baldwin's Rust DOA. And I'm like, is that really the term you want to use for that movie?
What does that mean?
Dead on Arrival.
I mean, like, their sales were so small they didn't report them?
No, it means it bombed. It didn't. Even for that release, it made no money. But you want to use DOA for the movie where they accidentally killed somebody? And so a few minutes later, the headline was different, but the thumbnail still had DOA in it for like hours. And like it was, I'm just like, who there are no editors anymore. There are no copywriters. There's no one proofreading anything.
It's ChatGPT.
Yeah, no one's paying attention to what they're saying anymore.
Yeah, and you get busted using ChatGPT.
I was just amazed at Hollywood Reporter. They're a big deal. It's them and Variety are really the last old school reporting on movies publications around. And I'm like, really? Like you put something that tone deaf up? That's crazy.
Yep, that sucks. Adam3140_1. Yeah, it has to be taken with a grain of salt at this time. Probably need to wait until Hollywood Reporter or Variety confirms it. Yeah. Vincent asks, I missed the first one and I'm still wondering if I should play that first. They're both on Game Pass. They seem
very different.
Yeah, the connective tissue is very slight.
Yeah, I think you should maybe look at the first one and decide which one you think looks more interesting to you.
And it sounds like the first one wasn't very plot heavy anyway.
No, it wasn't. It was very
concept.
It felt more like Metroid Prime with a sense of humor.
Yeah,
I think would be the way to
describe it. I definitely got Metroid vibes from Revenge of the Savage Planet for sure.
Just the first person element of the first one feels a little more Metroid Prime.
Definitely, yeah. But I still got the vibe from this game. So if you want a little warm up for Metroid Prime 4, that's not a bad game to play. Mitchell Ness, how does a tariff on a movie work?
I really don't know. I mean, I guess you could tariff. I don't know. I was talking to some of my production friends about that, and they're like, I guess if you have to send stuff back or footage back, you could put. Movies don't go through customs. Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's not what you would use to do that. You would give incentives to domestic production. You don't. Like, a movie is going to be, and footage is going to be sent back digitally. You can't tariff an email. Like, that doesn't make any... Like, it's just nonsense. And I'm between that and the Alcatraz thing, I think he just watched Escape from Alcatraz on local television, which aired in South Florida the night before he put that up. And that's what he did. I think you just need to make sure he's not watching anything weird every night.
Here's the thing.
Just like my grandfather.
Anyone who has ever gone to Alcatraz knows how insane that is.
Well, it was shut down because it cost 3 times as much to maintain it as it did per prisoner.
Anybody who's been there knows it's
the whole
one
thing's
of the
falling apart.
Dumbest things anybody could ever say. Here's the problem. The people that support him don't even leave their county or their state.
Well, what was it? Was it
they would never know.
Bondi was doing an interview with some dude. I can't remember who it was, some whatever. And that guy was talking about how, yeah, sure, take the worst criminals and put them in Alcatraz out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I'm like, do you think Alcatraz in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? Like, these people don't know anything. They don't know anything about anything. It's just astounding.
That's how it works. They have to know nothing.
And Alcatraz has been falling apart for 60 years.
It's
like,
just
it would
so
take.
absurd.
I'm not kidding. It would take probably $10 billion to retrofit Alcatraz into a modern facility of any kind. Not even like a humane prison. I'm not saying like, oh, make it a cushy prison. I'm saying like bring it up to
where people
code.
can like flush the toilets.
Yeah, exactly. Like pipe shit.
It's
like
insane.
like the cables for the internet connect. Like that. If you've ever been out there, you are cut off from civilization until your tour is over.
And
it holds 60 prisoners. Like, it was a symbol. It was a weird symbol back then when it was operating, and it was shut down largely because it was a waste of money.
He just says that stuff when there's some other big thing he's trying to draw attention away from.
Usually.
That's what he does. Yeah. Okay.
But I think that and the movie thing both came from him watching a rerun of Clint Eastwood's Escape from Alcatraz.
It's that stupid. That's how stupid he is.
And I was like, why didn't you watch The Rock? I'm like, The Rock isn't really about Alcatraz, is it?
Oddly enough.
It's the excuse to get James Bond to help you break into the thing, because that's what they wanted him to be, James Bond originally.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. So we teased earlier that Matt was going to handle a movie review for us today for Until Dawn, and that's what we're going to do right now. I do want to say, before we get going on this, though, full disclosure, the writer of Until Dawn is a dear friend of both Matt and I.
Although, to be fair, not a single line she wrote is remaining in this movie.
Really?
She only was on the first couple drafts.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She got credited. I mean, it says whatever the
her
other guy
and
Blair Butler. Her picture's in it.
Really?
There's the missing posters are a big visual element of this movie, and the credits, like all the crew gets their pictures up on a missing poster.
That's cool.
And the director actually said it. Like, somebody came. I don't remember who came up with it, but he's like, "Oh, that's a cool idea. Let's have everybody's face in it." And then the editor didn't want to put her face in it, and gave him a childhood picture. Oh. And he's like, "Oh, so now it looks like a little boy." Edited,
like we hired a 4-year-old.
Edited the movie, and then apparently the rest of the crew saw like, I could give you a younger picture. Like, what the fuck? Like,
that's funny.
So
Blair, ultimately, she had very little.
Blair had very little. I mean, Blair got it off the ground, but it's that's how the.
Was it her concept still?
Yeah, sort of. Like it's how the studio system works. Yeah. She worked up the drafts. They got the green light and the clearance, and then they handed it over to the actual director and the screenwriter that's credited first. You can tell it wasn't a collaborative writing job, because the credit says the guy's name and the word "and" Blair Butler.
Gotcha.
If they had worked together on the script, it would be an ampersand.
Oh, interesting.
That's WGA rules.
Interesting.
So when you see a written by credit, a screenplay by credit, and it says like so and so ampersand so and so, and then it says the word "and" so and so and so and so, those two sets of people work together on separate versions of the script.
Interesting.
But they both get credited by the WGA.
Every episode of GameFace you learn something.
And I believe both of them also get credited for story by.
Wow.
Or like adaptation by or something.
So Blair's off the hook then for this film.
No, Blair didn't do this to us.
Yeah. Uh-oh, here we go. So it wasn't very good?
I didn't think it was very good. Kind of first and foremost for this show, probably, this has almost nothing to do with the video game.
Yeah.
It is almost entirely unrelated.
Is it a cabin in the woods type thing where it has like a thing about it?
Sort of.
Yeah.
So the game is a pretty straightforward slasher movie thing with Rami Malek in it, and it turns out that there's like a twist of who the killer is and yada yada. The only thing this movie has in common with the game is it is indeed a bunch of preternaturally attractive young people who find a weird house in the woods, and things are killing them.
Yeah.
The Wendigo thing is in it, is common to it.
Okay.
And Peter Stormare plays a scientist of the same name as Rami Malek's psychiatrist in the game. But if they're supposed to be the same character, I don't know what you're... Because he's like a crazy lunatic who's running the whole thing. And he's like... Because it's a mining accident. Like, the mining accident thing is still there. But it's completely... basically, so the setup is like this girl, Clover, is looking for her sister who vanished a year ago. And she's on this road trip with her 4 friends. Like, her ex-boyfriend, and then her friend... And her
ex-boyfriend?
Yeah, her ex-boyfriend came. Max played by Michael Cimino from Love, Victor, who I swear I know his face, but I've never seen anything he's in. I have no idea why I know who he is. But he comes along basically to spend more time with the girlfriend who broke up with him. So it's like a group of 4 friends. Him and Clover and this one girl and this other girl, Megan, who thinks she's psychic. And it actually turns out she kind of is. But and they all come on for moral support. And then the one girl's boyfriend, who's he's a psych major. He says that several times. He's older and he has a Jeep, so he's the one who drives. So they've been driving all over the place, and it was like they were going on a road trip to get out of the city, but it turned out that Clover had kind of lied to them, and they were really going to all the places that her sister had last been seen.
Right.
And the last time they saw her was at this gas station, and they go to the gas station, and Peter Stormare is a creepy weirdo working behind the counter and tells her, he asks if he's been there, if he'd ever seen it, because her last video was taken in front of that gas station. And he's like, well, not here. Maybe did she go missing? And she's like, why do you know that? And he's like, well, not here, but over in Glore Valley. People go missing over there.
Yeah.
So she goes out and she's like, it's kind of the classic sort of horror movie, like, folks from around here ain't from around here kind of thing. And like she goes out and she's like, we have a lead. So they go to Glore Valley and they arrive to this horrible, horrible storm, and all of a sudden they drive out of the rain into a completely dry, empty
biome
location. It's just like this big visitor center, and the rain's still falling like behind a wall, like it's a force field. Like,
wow.
And basically what it turns out to be is the town, which used to be a mining town, and in 1998, I think, the mining thing gave way, and the whole town basically sunk underground, and everybody died. And this, for whatever reason, none of this is ever explained, just so you know. This whole movie is like an hour and 30 minutes of setup and payoff that's like, what? And that's it. It's over. But basically they end up trapped in a loop. It's a time loop. So this
is the gimmick.
Yeah, the gimmick is this, because you remember the cover of the game, and a motif in the game was the hourglass,
right?
Like because of the time thing.
Yeah.
So the way they interpret that, so the hourglass is actually in the movie as a thing on the wall of the visitors center, and basically they come in, and very quickly after the sun sets, like a monster, like a Jason style killer shows up and kills them all, and then they all wake up at the beginning at sunset the night, like as they're whatever they were doing at the time, they all wake up and they all remember they were killed. And so
they know they're in a weird loop.
Yeah, they figure it out pretty quick. The hourglass, basically, as the instant the sun is setting, one of the girls is signing the guest log, and the guest register, like in the log in the mine in the game, like it's someone signing in. People signed in, and their handwriting gets worse over time as they turn into the Wendigo. Yeah. So the last person to sign the guest log is her sister. So they're like, okay, we're in the right place. But every time they resurrect, like the girl is signing her name, and it gets worse every time. So that's how they know how many times they've been through this. And the hourglass from the cover of the game is on the wall, and it automatically turns over. And the idea is they have to survive until dawn. It's like you survive until dawn. You either survive the night or you become part of it. And so basically it's this constant loop of like they're trying to get out. How
many times do they do it before the film's over?
Oh, well, it's implied they have 13 times, but you only really see 4 of them. Okay. And then they wake up because they're all a little more, because they're turning into Wendigos as this is happening, and they're all getting more.
Their writing's getting worse, and
eventually it turns out that the Abe guy, the boyfriend with the truck, has been recording iPhone videos this whole time, and so that you kind of watch. Here's the thing. Every single trope and cliche of all of horror is in this movie, because the place rearranges itself every day, and eventually it becomes, because it's all of the insecurities and worries of the kids. Yeah. So they're kind of dictating. It's sort of like what you did in the game, where you picked what you were afraid of, snakes or cockroaches or what, that kind of thing. that is like, it's like the town like molds itself to what the kids are afraid of is the idea. So they get killed in different ways every time, no matter what they. One of them I think is actually really funny, which I won't tell you about because what happens is actually what it's so weird that like clearly something bad is happening in terms of something they've done that was not very wise. They all make very poor decisions in the entire film.
I mean,
but at one point you're like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, this is gonna happen. And actually, what you think is going to happen because of what happened is like, I think this is going to happen, and then something completely different happens, and I was the only one in the theater who laughed at it, so maybe it's just me. But I thought it was.
Were there other people in the theater?
There was like 7 or 8 other people.
Oh, really?
I went with my friend who he and I go see all Blair's movies because we know her, and we go to we've seen Hellfest, and we saw whatever the last one was.
I'm surprised Blair doesn't set up a night for all of us just to go with her to her films.
Blair doesn't.
She didn't care.
Blair doesn't care, and she knows what these are.
Yeah. Still, it's fun to go.
It's a credit. She's a working screenwriter with her name on
how does the
billboards.
movie end up sucking? What happens that it's bad?
It's just kind of everyone's just sort of a blank slate. There's nothing, and again, everything that happens through them is pretty much a cliche. So you're sort of running through all these horror movie cliches, and then they all get killed, and then they reset, and then it happens again. And eventually they kind of figure out a way to sort of break the loop and get to Peter Stormare and sort of like confront him and figure out what's going to happen. And you're like, okay, well, we'll finally get like some payoff of what all this is happening. No, you don't.
No.
It's just sort of like, okay, so the place is just sort of bad and this happens here. And it's just weird because
there's no explanation for why it's
there's
happening.
no snow. There's no cabin.
Oh, really?
There's no nothing. It's not completely unrelated. So
how do you get away with calling it Until Dawn?
Because you got to survive until dawn.
Yeah.
And because Peter Stormare is playing the same character. There's a moment where she looks at the papers of all the... Because he's like... Basically, it's implied he's experimenting on the people that die over and over again and seeing how long they live or how long it takes to turn them into Wendigos or whatever. But it doesn't really imply that he's the one who made it be that way. Yeah. He's just sort of figured out a way to live in here and sort of be a scientist about it. And he's kind of a crazy person. When she looks at the files on his desk, you see several files for the characters from the game. And then the only other connection to the game is the very last shot of the movie is these monitors where in his office where he monitors all the places that the people are. The very last scene, the monitors suddenly change over to the location of the game. It's all snowy and it's got that it's the cabin with the 2 beds. Like you recognize it from the game.
Yeah.
And the van that the kids in the game are in pull up. And you hear him go ha ha ha, and like that's
sequel.
It. So it's in the world of the. And I've seen people that are saying like, oh, I guess he's running multiple locations. I'm like, no, it's because the place molds itself to your fears. So
right.
the kids in the game are afraid of different things. So for them, it's a snowy mountain cabin.
It's a cabin.
That's what I took from that. But in general, it's just one of those things. It literally has nothing to do with the game. It's actually most of the effects are practical. It's the guy who directed Shazam and Shazam 2. I don't mean that as an insult, but he did do those things.
Yeah.
And he basically and you can tell. I read interviews with him after I got home, and he's like, I've never done a real big horror movie thing before, so I want to put out of the budget. I had free and clear. I could do whatever I wanted, so I wanted to put every kind of horror thing I ever grew up with and loved in this. And you can tell because every single horror trope is literally in there. You want air raid sirens from Silent Hill, they're in here. You want a weird asylum sanitarium, it is in here. You want killer with a mask who can't be killed, he's in here. You want a weird witch, it's in here. You want found footage shit, it's in here. You want weird parasites in your mouth, he's in there. If you can think of it, if it has happened in a horror movie in the last 25 years, it is in this movie, and it doesn't fucking matter because it's all random because everything can change.
That's probably where the comparisons to Cabin in the Woods come from.
Yes, I think that's
which I love, by the way.
I didn't think of that until you mentioned that, but it makes sense that people be comparing this to Cabin in the Woods.
I love Cabin in the Woods.
But again, it's like it's constant setup with 5 characters you do not care about, and then at the end you don't actually learn anything interesting about anything.
And you would say fans of the game probably wouldn't glean much more out of it.
It has nothing to do with the game. It has absolutely nothing to do with the game.
We're kind of there at this point where they make movies based upon these properties, but then it's like...
Well, and then like I did reflect on the idea that like, it is actually about as accurate an adaptation as Uncharted was.
Yeah.
Because Uncharted did the same thing. It's like, at the last 5 minutes of the movie, everything is like the game.
Hey, don't forget about
We've caught
the video
up to the game now.
Yeah.
We're never making another one of these. Go fuck yourselves. And like... I
think they are going to make another Uncharted movie.
They keep threatening to, but it keeps not happening. But the thing about it is, of course, at the beginning, because it's a PlayStation Studios movie, it does start with that PlayStation Studios logo where it kind of pulls back through all the different PlayStation characters. And I was like, look at all the things that would have made a better movie than what I'm about to fucking watch. Like,
Legacy asked if Blair's seen it.
Oh, I'm sure she has.
Yeah. I mean, she probably watched way before the movie came out.
Yeah, if you're involved in it, they're going to send you You're going to send you cuts of it.
Yeah, she probably watched it as it was being cut together.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, she definitely watched it. I wonder what she feels about it.
It's just your job.
Yeah.
You know, she hopes one day she can get to write a movie from start to finish and finish it out.
And get that first credit.
You know, her other one was The Invitation. She wrote The Invitation. The Dracula thing.
Yeah.
And I think she said about a half of her script is still in there.
Oh, that's good. So you're recommending nobody goes to see this?
I wouldn't. No, I'm not going to.
How did it do? Did you see any
not
numbers?
Tops.
Yeah, I didn't figure.
It'll probably do better on streaming.
Yeah.
It's a streaming movie. Like if it's on a streaming service you already have, go ahead and put it on in the background or something. Because again, I will say, a lot of the makeup effects and a lot of the kills and a lot of it's practical. There's almost no digital stuff in here outside of like extending sets and stuff, and it all looks really good. It was all really well shot. I think it looks very good.
Well produced,
and the makeup's very good. And there's a couple of really graphic things in here. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. I was, I'm always impressed when something's head explodes or something gets cut apart
and it looks
like
real.
And it looks like like anatomically correct. And, there's a number of those in this, and I was impressed by that.
So the gore quotient's pretty high, is what you're saying.
I mean, when it happened, I'd say there's like 6 really gory shots in this, and I think they're all done really well. I thought they were all very good. So
I'll probably watch it then.
So again, if you're not paying theater prices for it, if you're going to load it up on streaming, I think you'll probably, if you're a horror fan, you like makeup and effects stuff, I think you'll see some stuff you think is pretty good. The other thing that I kept noticing in this movie, and I know it's a nitpick of all nitpicks, but when they get caught by, they all have flashlights, and when they get caught by monsters, they cover the flashlight with their hand. And I'm like, turn it off. You can still see the light under your fucking... Like, it's still coming out. And save the battery. I mean, I know they're all idiot teenagers. They're not even teenagers. They're all college students. But, like, it's just... I'm like, what is that? Why are you turning... Is that just so the lighting doesn't have to be rebalanced when you take it off? I mean...
Well, it's like that one commercial where they spoof horror movies, and they're like, let's hide behind the chainsaws. They're like, that's a great idea.
There is actually a scene where they run from the thing and hide. And all their hiding place is like, no!
Yeah, don't go there.
Why would you do... No! Oh.
All right. Well, there you go. That is the Until Dawn film. Matt is recommending that if you're slightly interested, just stream it, rent it for $4. Do not go to the theaters to see it. My guess is by next weekend, it probably will not be in theaters anymore anyway.
It might as well. Like this 2 weekends, it'll still be in theaters in some form. It's usually a 4 to 6 week thing. Yeah. So you'll see. It's not in IMAX. You're not going to see it in a large format.
Well, I hope it does okay. So Blair gets paid and
no, you don't really
gets another gig.
No, I mean, she's been paid. Like again, if you're the starting screenwriter, like no one really blames you for how the movie turns out.
Yeah.
She didn't do that. You know, she got it off the ground. She got it made.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good point.
That's the
a big
point.
Deal.
She's a good opener.
Yeah.
Someone should try using her as a closer so she can have
Seriously.
some say over the thing.
Well, hopefully next time.
Well, I'm hoping she loved Returnal. She really loved the game Returnal, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe this becomes a stepping stone for her to write the Returnal.
That would be great, actually.
Because I think Returnal would make a good movie. Because even the director in interviews for this has talked about how the game is basically a 10-hour movie starring Rami Malek, which is probably better than anything we could make. It's like, because you can't get Rami Malek for this because he's a giant star now. He's an Oscar nominated. Maybe did he win that Oscar? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
He's a giant star now. So
never happened now,
and you can't make a 10-hour movie. So like you got to make. See, that's why they made a totally different, unrelated thing. And the time loop thing is meant, I think, to represent the whole ability to make choices and alter the course of the game.
Right.
In the game
to represent the game. Yeah.
But it's just a completely different thing.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, you wouldn't. If they didn't call it Until Dawn, you would never associate
know.
it with Until Dawn. Outside of like, oh, it's weird that Peter Stormare played a doctor in these two horror things. You know.
All right. Well, it's time to move on, and it is time for the lightning round, where we go through a bunch of really fast news stories and get a minute or two of commentary from Matt Keil right here. We're running out of time. We have to go through these a little bit quicker than usual. However, before we get started, I do want to say one thing. So the first story in the lightning round is that Nintendo is suing Genki over the Switch 2 mock-ups that Genki put out there. Here's something crazy. I don't know if you saw this on the site. I put it in the blurb. So back when they showed that stuff at CES, I went to their website because I was afraid they were going to take it down. Like Nintendo would give them a cease and desist or whatever. So I went to their website and grabbed like their videos of the Switch 2 mock-ups. And they don't even have videos that you could grab. I had to record the screen of them playing in like Flash or whatever. So I did that. I recorded them, cut them together, and I put it up on our YouTube channel. I'm like, Switch 2 Genki mock-up from CES 2025. Never even thought anything about it. Never even checked it again. And we started getting comments from people on our YouTube channel. They're saying, came from Nintendo PDF. Did anyone else come from Nintendo PDF? And I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? So I started digging around, and here, so Nintendo sues Genki for copyright infringement and a bunch of other stuff for it, basically completely blowing out the Switch 2 before Nintendo announced it. And in the actual case court filing PDF that Nintendo filed, its lawyers filed, is our video. A link to our YouTube video of the Genki Switch 2 mock-up.
If that doesn't get you a free Switch 2, I don't know what will.
I was like, of all the videos, so I went back and looked, and sure enough, I was on it. I was the first video on YouTube of that. And the funny part is, everybody else did like 500 million views off of it. I got like 2,000. It's like, it sucks so bad, dude, how YouTube's algorithm controls who makes money.
But it's crazy that Nintendo used you. That's remarkable.
Yeah, it's crazy. And ultimately, I think the video did another 200 views or whatever.
Right.
It shows you that nobody really goes and reads that stuff.
I got 500,000 views on that Swagasaurus Rex thing. You can't parlay that in anything.
It's just all luck. I mean, it really feels like YouTube is the gatekeeper of, like, your business surviving. It really is crazy, man. Like, it sucks that I got that thing up first, and then a bunch of other people posted it hours later, and they did billions of views off of them.
Well,
like,
even, it's so capricious, and, like, you don't... Even, like, one of the channels I watch moved studios, so they kind of were... they were still putting stuff up, but they weren't doing, like, a lot of live streams for... they had to set up a new studio. They moved across Florida. And, like, even the owner of the thing was like, hey, just, I know you guys do it, but just, like, extra much, like and comment and stuff, because, like, we got to get back on the algorithm horse, because we've kind of, that's how much it can affect. Like,
it sucks that, like,
it's crazy.
Hustling and doing a good job, there's no reward for it. There's none.
That happens to Kyle Hill, too. Like, if he misses one day or anything's one day late, he's like, the algorithm buried me this week. He's like it's the difference of like hundreds of thousands of views.
I mean, me being first made no difference. No. Nintendo, they noticed it, but YouTube doesn't. They just give all the money to some other dude who's already making all the money.
Which should also tip you off as like Nintendo sees you.
Oh yeah, I know that.
I mean everyone. Nintendo sees you all.
Right? Yeah, you're right.
Nintendo is always.
I know Nintendo sees us because I'm in contact with them all the time, and I don't know if that had something to do with why they chose our. I don't know, but anyway, it's pretty interesting. Anyway.
I mean, if they can prove somehow, like, through date stamps or whatever, timestamps on the YouTube video, that you were indeed first, that can be valuable in discovery. It can be like, look, this is when it happened. This is how early it happened.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I did it while the CES was happening. Like,
that's probably even more important,
right?
That it was happening.
They wanted to see the date,
right? But that proves it was happening then during CES.
Yeah. So anyway. Another thing that I did where I busted my ass and it should have paid off and it didn't. It's so frustrating. I can't even put it into words. This crap happens to me over and over and over again. We just can't get over the hump. But anyway, interesting story nevertheless. Now that we're talking about it though, what do you think about Nintendo suing Genki?
I mean, duh.
You think it's right to sue? Because some people on the story were blaming Nintendo and...
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if they'll win, but you have to. Because why was Genki doing that?
I mean, to sell its shells. I mean, honestly, Genki just lost its mind.
Yeah.
Nintendo sent the CAD files to it so it could start creating its cases for Switch 2. And it was like, this is an opportunity for us to become more than the little peripheral guy from Japan. It was the dumbest, most short-sighted thing.
It's a very open and shut kind of, that is not why we sent you those files.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there was, confidentiality shit attached to that, too, and they probably violated it.
I mean, look at this. I mean, that is the Switch 2, man.
Yeah.
Like, they had the Switch 2 before Nintendo showed the Switch 2. They even have the colored rings around the analog sticks right. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Genki, dumb AF to do this.
I think the only thing that could be even a remote problem for Nintendo is like the idea that the Switch 2 looks so much like the previous system that it's like you're not really blowing.
Anybody could have come up with that.
Anyone could have thought, but again, if you can prove that they have the CAD files,
you can measure that mock-up and see it's 100%. And
you can you have an original Switch sitting right there.
Genki was so dumb, dude. Yeah. They did so many stupid things in this whole process, and now it's going to pay for it. It may put Genki out of business.
Could.
I mean, it's not that big of a company. And so we'll see how it all shakes out. But Genki was dumb, and in all honesty, it deserved for this to happen. That's just the truth.
Yeah, I think this is inevitable.
Yep. Okay.
You got to at least say hey, don't do this again, anybody else, because we'll take it to court and it'll cost you a lot of money.
Yep. Next up, in the lightning round, just announced yesterday, Matt, Gears of War is coming to PlayStation. Gears of War Reloaded was announced yesterday. It's coming for $40. It launches August 28th of this year. It is coming to PlayStation along with Xbox Series and PC. It is a remake, I think. Is it remaster or remake, actually? I'm not 100% sure.
It's hard to tell.
They already kind of did a remaster of this, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they did the remaster of this earlier.
Yeah, it was called like the Ultimate Edition or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought they had already kind of reworked this a little bit.
I think, they did. I think this is most likely just like new assets and update. I mean, I wouldn't imagine this is a full remake Roundup.
Yeah.
But it's also, it makes sense. Like, I think we expected something like this.
I think we've talked about it, actually.
Because you want to put this out on PlayStation because you're about to put E-Day out, and E-Day is clearly tied to this, because like it's the backstory of this game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes sense.
So yeah, Gears of War coming to PlayStation for the first time ever. I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
PlayStation fans have been praying for Gears of War for a long time. Here it comes. I also think E-Day, by the way, is going to be a PlayStation game. And I think every Gears game from now till the end of time will be a PlayStation game.
And of course, also, like, given the schedule for PlayStation this year, it's like, something to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, next up in the lightning round. This one's a little hard to explain very quickly.
I thought this was very funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So basically, right now, Bungie is trying to sue someone for copyright infringement over Destiny 2. And to explain it, you have to go really deep and know what's up with Destiny and Destiny 2. If you don't understand the lore, the plot in these games, you won't understand how this person infringed on Bungie. Well, the judge in the case, who is an older gentleman, basically told Bungie to go jump off a cliff. They told him, look, you need to watch this 10-hour YouTube video that explains everything.
Well, did you know why they had to show him a video?
Why?
Because it's vaulted material.
Oh.
And they don't have a build of the game that can, so they couldn't go through and like do a capture. They couldn't go capture the parts of the game they wanted to highlight.
Oh my gosh.
Because they can't run that. They even internally, they do not have a build.
Source code.
This is the big, no, that's not how that works. So this is the big reveal of this actually is like, Bungie does not have an internal build of Destiny that can run the vaulted content.
Wow.
Because the reason they vaulted it is because they updated the engine so much that to make that old content work with the new engine would require a lot of re-rigging and a lot of tweaking that they do not have the time or money to really do for old. So when they say vault, that stuff's gone.
Wow.
It's gone.
It really is not
forever.
even a vault.
There's no vault. They would just have to put another version of the game up with the old engine again. They don't even have that running in their studio.
Wow.
So they found a YouTube video that basically is a full playthrough of one of the module of content that they are saying is infringed upon, and that's what they gave the court. And yeah, the judge was like, no. Like, where you don't even have the actual, because it wasn't just that they gave them a huge video. It was like, because they did, I think they did give them timestamps for it, but he's like, well, wait, where's the actual?
Yeah, you don't
game?
have the game that you're suing
and
over.
They had to admit that like they do not have the ability to play the game that part of the game anymore.
Wow, that's insane.
Just amazing.
It's a crazy story. Like it is just one of those loony.
Well, like the fact that you didn't like. If I was someone there and that was happening, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna keep a build of the old version somewhere safe just in case we ever need to pull up.
Yeah, for a million reasons.
Exactly this kind of thing. You don't know. You never know.
Yeah,
Maybe you just want to play it again.
It's just so dumb.
Maybe you're writing Destiny 3 and you want to remember what you did in Destiny 2.
Yeah.
And you want to play that shit. Like, it's so stupid.
Yep, it really is, but it is definitely...
And it is also the kind of the final proof that Destiny 2 really is Destiny 2 and 3.
Yeah.
That part of Destiny 2 should have probably been Destiny 3.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Next up, I don't know if I'm happy about this story or not, but Matt...
This kind of surprises me.
The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is now, after a week, the third best-selling game of 2025. What does that say about us? What does it say to publishers and developers?
It says that people love Bethesda games.
Yeah?
That's what this says. It is Because again, and we go around on this sometimes, I think, every time these things come up. Other than sort of kind of Obsidian, who hasn't really done anything directly like in a Bethesda game since New Vegas, no one else makes these.
Mm-hmm.
There are no Skyrim clones. No matter what you want to say about Avowed or whatever, there are no Elder Scrolls clones. There are no Fallout clones. There are no giant, sprawling, open-world RPGs on the scale and ambition of what Bethesda makes, period.
Because it takes 12 years
Because it's
to
the
make.
hardest fucking thing to do in the world.
Really?
In the same way that there is never going to be another Baldur's Gate 3, except whatever Larian makes next that isn't Baldur's Gate. But they're the ones who can do that, and no one else is going to ever get it right. So
because it's a big risk if you can't pull it off.
Much as even as someone who thinks Oblivion is my least favorite of the 3 modern Elder Scrolls games, I've played that game for 50 hours.
I went back and played it a little more, but I did
improve it. It is a better game than the original. It's all right there now. It's fun to have all the DLC in place again, because the other cool thing about the DLC all being included is they didn't call it out. So I completely forgot that Frostcrag Spire was a thing, and and I saw it from Anvil or somewhere, or whatever that city is up there. And I'm like, all right, that place I can get and upgrade and do all. I kind of organically discovered it, and I thought that was really cool. So I think this.
So back to the question.
I think this just says that Bethesda games are really popular and good, and there's nothing else like them. So whenever you put out a modern version of one, it's gonna sell. So and a lot of people have really good memories of playing Oblivion from 20 years ago, and 20 years, as much as 20 years after Oblivion kind of made me a little more cynical about Oblivion. For most people, I would imagine that 20 years rounds those rough edges a lot more and makes you feel like, oh, Oblivion. Yeah, I like Oblivion. Yeah.
Do you think it's telling developers and publishers that instead of coming up with new ideas, new concepts, new IP, it's better to just remake beloved games from the past?
Not for 1 second.
No?
No. Because none of those are Oblivion. Yeah. None of those are Morrowind.
So you think this is specific to...
This is specific to Elder Scrolls. Because remakes and remasters like this don't sell like this.
I mean, Resident Evil 4 remake, one of the best-selling games from the last 5 years.
Resident Evil 4, one of the best games ever made. Yeah, that sold pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that tells you anything except Resident Evil 4 is really good.
I just wonder if you're a publisher and you're looking at maybe taking a risk on something new.
A publisher could absolutely make a stupid choice like that, sure.
But I'm saying...
But that's not the lesson to take from this.
Yeah. I'm saying what lesson will they take, not what should they take.
Well, I don't know what they're doing anymore.
Yeah.
So. What the lesson that should be taken from this is you should do exactly this with Morrowind
make
next.
Great games.
You should make really good games and come back 20 years and do it again.
Fair enough.
And the Bethesda should get on and should have these guys get on the Morrowind remake.
Okay, fair enough.
Those are the lessons of Oblivion remastered.
Okay, next up, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but once again this week, Matt, the rumors about Half-Life 3 are swirling again. This one, from a very reliable source, claims that the game is playable from start to end right now. And I will just say, personally, we were hearing about the Oblivion remaster remake for several months before it was supposed to be announced. 2 times, it didn't get announced. And I'll just be honest, after the second time it was supposed to be announced and it didn't get announced, I thought the story was fake. And it turns out it wasn't. It was real. And I feel like I'm kind of teetering in this same space with Half-Life 3. Do you think it's real?
I give it pretty good odds.
Yeah.
There's enough smoke here that I'm inclined to think there's something there.
This is like the 3rd time in the last 6 months. It's been a different person every time too, which to me adds a little bit more weight to it. But
also because if you want to do some kind of long-awaited game is coming hoax, there's a lot more believable ones you could do than this. Mm-hmm. I think Half-Life 3, most people's reaction to Half-Life 3 is bullshit.
Yeah.
Most people just don't believe anymore.
By the way, if you're wondering what we're watching here, this is footage from Half-Life Episode 3 that they worked on, stuff that they worked on that they never released. And it looks really freaking awesome, by the way. So I hope some of these concepts ended up in Half-Life 3. If it's real, who knows? But this is some of the footage that Valve put out itself. It was like, hey, here's a bone. Here's some stuff that we actually worked on.
Look, we did some.
Yeah.
One day in the
everything
past.
wasn't a lie all along. But the tech for this,
only the cake.
Valve wants to have new tech for every Half-Life. I mean, here it is. This is stuff that no other game's doing. So.
Well, I mean, I think now this wouldn't be all that revolutionary, but this is from what?
Still pretty cool.
This is from what, 15 years ago?
Yeah, it's old. It's real old. Yeah, it just shows you how far ahead of everything Valve was at the time. Yeah. They were literally gods making video games. It's really crazy. But anyway, what percentage do you give it that Half-Life 3 is real and fully playable right now?
I don't know. Probably I'd give it like a 40.
Yeah, I think I'd go about 50% at this point. I think I'd go like 55, 60% that it's real.
Again, just because it's playable from end to end doesn't mean we're ever going to see it.
No, it's true. It's true. There are millions of games like that never saw the light of day.
And also specifically Valve can just be like, nah, we're just going to keep we're just going to go back to the other room and count more money. They don't need to ever release anything.
Okay, next up in the lightning round. Good idea or not? Ubisoft is hinting that it's going to release a sequel for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Is that a good idea or bad?
I mean, probably not a great financial idea, but I like the game, so
good
for us.
Yeah, I think ultimately the first one has sold around 2 million units, which isn't terrible.
I mean, you could probably budget a sequel with that in mind.
Right. Because my guess is probably it cost 25, 30 million to make the first one.
More of these publishers need to follow the old Star Trek movie method, which was like they learned how much money a Star Trek movie makes, and they gave them exactly enough budget for the next one that they knew that if it made that same amount of money, they'd turn a profit.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Now, the unfortunate part is you need to put one out first.
Yeah.
But first you need to put something out and then readjust your expectations and decide whether you can make these for that amount of money in the future. And if you can, you got a series.
Selfishly, I think this is a great idea. I love The Lost Crown. I think it's a great game. And I love seeing big publishers do smaller indie-ish styled games. Financially, for Ubisoft right now?
Probably not, but more of these games of these type needs to exist.
I agree.
Like, you need to buffer your AAA catalog with these things that are going to give you little cash infusions. Over the line. And then this is how you get $1 billion franchise.
Maybe it hits.
Not Prince of Persia is already what it is, but like making little games like this is, I mean, this tiny little French company just sold 2 million copies of a turn-based RPG.
Yep.
Like that no one had ever heard of and no one even remembers the fucking name of. Like it's there. You can do it. This is, remaking the same IP over and over again is not the only path to success here.
Yeah, I agree.
The other one's scarier, and you gotta, I don't know something about what's good to do it. Like, I can't believe something. I mean, and again, take note, Ubisoft. A bunch of the people who made Expedition 33 were from Ubisoft.
They were your employees.
You could have made that game.
They had the idea.
That could have been a Ubi game.
He had the idea at Ubisoft.
Yeah,
when he was bored.
They wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So anyway, I love The Lost Crown. I'm cool with the sequel. Financially, I don't know if it's a great idea for Ubi, though, right now.
I don't know. Put something out.
It's got to do something to generate revenue. All right, next up in the lightning round, Shuhei Yoshida keeps doing his revenge tour around the world where he goes and talks about all these things that happened at PlayStation. The thing he talked about this week was how he saved Gran Turismo. So he said Polyphony Digital was working on Gran Turismo. It thought the game was pretty much finished. He went to go play it, and he said it was hard as nails.
I believe that.
And he basically told Yamauchi, he's like, you need to tone this down or we're not going to release it. He's like, you need to make it easier to drive, easier to handle, or this game isn't coming out. And so Polyphony Digital spent a couple weeks working on the difficulty, working on the handling in the game, and the rest is history. Matt, what do you think would have become of the Gran Turismo franchise if they had released it in that more difficult state?
I don't know. I mean, one of the things people said when it came out was how hard it was.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, Shu was like, okay, tone it down. I'm like, bro, you must not have really held their feet to the fire on that one, because it's still hard.
Is this 1 or 2?
This is 1. On an emulator, obviously. Yeah.
Man, But yeah, the pop-in really was about that bad.
It was that bad, yeah. I mean, the emulator, I think it makes it stand out more, but
yeah, I don't think the world disappeared if you played it on PS1. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I guess I was always a little surprised that it was as popular as it was, given how difficult it was anyway. So I guess it probably would have just ended up like in the same bucket as like the Codemasters games.
I think it was the novelty of driving real cars, licensed cars. They actually had the badges on them, and in the menu,
they all more or less felt like driving.
They had the real capabilities of the cars, the drifting and the drafting,
it said the real driving simulator on the box for a reason.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my thing so much at the time, but the 2 I really didn't like.
Yeah.
But
I think if it was harder than it really was, it would have died after the first entry.
Probably.
Because it was plenty hard enough as it was released ultimately.
I mean, if it stayed that hard, Sony wouldn't have released it.
No, you're right. Yeah,
it never would have
happened. So anyway, Shuhei Yoshida to the rescue, saving Gran Turismo.
I'm waiting for him to be like, yeah, the boat carrying all the launch PS2s was being sunk, so I flew it on a helicopter and I airlifted every single launch PS2 off by hand and delivered them to American stores in time for release day.
That's his next story. Yeah. It's coming up. All right, next up in the lightning round. You mentioned this earlier, and I don't know if you knew that the story was actually in the show, but you talked about how when you went to the film, they showed a bunch of the PlayStation mascots or whatever, and you may have noticed that one is no longer there, and that is Sackboy from Little Big Planet. He is no longer a marquee PlayStation mascot character. They've removed him from all of the PlayStation Studios logos, all the opening cinematics, all that stuff. Sackboy has been sacked.
Well,
smart move or dumb move?
Well, considering that this probably means a horrible sex scandal is about to break, probably a smart move.
I'll be honest with you, Matt. I always thought Sackboy was dumb AF. It's like, hey, we can't come up with a name for our character. Well, he's a sack and he's a boy. Let's call him Sackboy. Yeah, and then they're like, okay, well, we'll just go with that while we develop the game. And then they got to the end of the game. They couldn't come up with a better name, and so they just stuck with it.
I'm not going to criticize that as someone who worked on a show called X-Play for 10 years.
Touche. That's a good point. I still to this day, I'm like, what in the hell does X-Play mean? And I worked on the show for like 500 episodes.
It was an abbreviation of extended play, and then before we could come up with a better name, they already made the graphics.
You're right.
And we couldn't afford to do any more.
Made the show open, and
so
we're like,
was it.
First of all, that show open was so horrible.
Oh, yeah. But
it's so bad.
Well, also giant, you want to talk about copyright infringement.
Right.
Every single thing in that opening is stolen from a game.
Yeah.
And for years, I remember for years we thought the only thing that was original in that whole open was that skull.
Right.
That skull's from Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, I know.
I replayed Eternal Darkness. I'm like, oh, fuck you. I can't believe LucasArts didn't come after us for the X-Wing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's an X-Wing in that opening. I was like,
which is nuts.
They just loved us. Luckily, we were lucky that Lucas was a fan of.
Seriously,
is Sackboy even relevant anymore?
No.
I kind of understand.
Well, Little Big Planet is done.
No.
So
and Astrobot fills that niche in the PlayStation lineup way better than Sackboy ever did. Because I love the Media Molecule guys. I like hanging out with those guys. They're good people. I never really liked the Little Big Planet game very much.
Yep, Sackboy, au revoir. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I will not miss Sackboy one iota. I always thought he was about as bland as you could expect a Sackboy to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's cute, but like, and he died. But again, it's sort of the same thing as Astrobot. He's so neutral that you can dress him up as any PlayStation character, and it worked.
Yeah,
that was sort of and now again, Astrobot does everything Sackboy did, but better.
Yep, it's true. Okay, our final topic for the lightning round. This past week, both Polygon and Giant Bomb underwent ground-shattering, earth-shattering changes. Polygon was bought by some company called Valnet, which is notorious for just snatching up properties and then just running them into the ground and shutting them down. So the prognosis for Polygon does not look great. They haven't published for a couple days. And then Giant Bomb, their corporate overlords, started getting involved with their creative process, and so Jeff Grubb left Giant Bomb. Who
I saw they'd slapped him with like some kind of PG-13 requirement. That
they did not like that they were swearing a lot in the shows. They also criticized the parent company in a show a couple weeks ago, and the parent company asked them to remove that part of the show, and Giant Bomb told them to F off. So Jeff Grubb has left Giant Bomb. He has no job right now. He's one of the biggest leakers in the industry as far as information is concerned. I don't know why he's not already hired somewhere. If I could hire him, I'd hire him in a heartbeat. He should be hired.
Maybe Bloomberg will have him and Schreier fight to the death
over
the job title there.
And then one of the other guys said that he's not going on the podcast anymore, and I'm not sure if he actually left Giant Bomb altogether, but there's crazy stuff going on at Polygon and Giant Bomb. Honestly, I hate to say it, it looks like both of them are probably not long for this world at this point.
I mean, if you're acquired by one of those big guys, that's basically a matter of time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to happen faster for Polygon than it did for Giant Bomb, but as soon as CBS bought Giant Bomb, it was going to happen one day.
I mean, Jeff left for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw the writing on the wall quite a while ago and left to do his own thing. Jeff Gerstmann I'm talking about. But it sucks to see Giant Bomb, which at one point was this pioneer for the subscription service for entertainment websites now probably going to fold here in the not too distant future. And here we come on our 10th anniversary. It's really crazy. But the only way that it's happened is because I built SIFTD in a way that it could be run with hardly anybody. Like from the beginning, I was like, if it all goes to hell and I only have enough money to have a couple people working with me, can I still operate this website? And we did it that way, and it is that way, and we're able to survive because of it, because we just don't need that much labor to keep it going. But you know, talk about a website that has, you know, even at Game Trailers, we only ever had like 8 editorial guys. But you start talking about like Polygon, GameSpot, IGN, you're talking about like 50, 60 editorial people. Like the kind of revenue that you need to support that many employees is insane. So
I'm impressed that Polygon lasted for as long as it did, considering it never had any video.
Seriously. How did it survive all that long?
It's remarkable.
And how did they never have a leader that came in there? And I hate to say this without what they're going through, but like, as somebody who's worked in this industry for 30 years, like, how did they never have somebody come in there and it's like, why are we doing video? That's where you make the money. You don't make money off display ads for written content. You make your money off video ads for running videos.
I mean, I get what they were doing, and I kind of appreciate and support it. Like, I'm glad they kind of stuck their guns on that, but it just feels... I'm surprised that some leader didn't show up and force it to happen.
I mean, somebody should have. Let's be honest. I mean, the writing's been on the wall for Polygon.
I mean,
for a while.
that wouldn't have changed anything. I don't think.
It depends on if they got the founders out of there or not. And a lot of them had left. I thought. Didn't they go to like do Aftermath, or was that Kotaku? That's Kotaku.
That was Kotaku.
Yeah, that's Kotaku. There's so many of these now. These little splinters where a company folds and everyone goes and does their own thing. It's like, I feel like there's not enough customers to go around for everybody.
Probably, certainly not of that brand of game journalism, and certainly
I
not
just think games journalism in general.
Yeah, but I think there's a bunch of different audience splits on that, depending on how old the people writing or videoing are. You know, like I don't think we're getting a lot of Gen Z people on this podcast.
No,
you know?
Definitely not, because we're critical of things.
Yeah,
because we actually have an opinion and don't say everything is awesome.
We're also ancient.
Yeah, to them, we're like Gramps.
Yeah,
we're gamer Gramps. It's pretty funny to think about. So anyway, there you go. That's the lightning round for GameFace episode 432. And I just want to say best of luck to everyone at Polygon and Giant Bomb with what they're going through. I hope people can land on their feet, but it's like there's no jobs. It's like I don't know where they're going to go. It just really sucks. But anyway, Polygon folks, Giant Bomb folks, thinking about you, hoping you guys can land on your feet. If I could hire you guys, I would, man. And girls, I would, but I can't. So unfortunately, I can't help you guys, but hopefully you find someone else who can. And with that, there's just one thing left to do, and of course that is that's right, it's time for Name That Game Tune, brought to you by Soundwizardry.com, the true wizards in game audio. I actually just went and checked out Soundwizardry's YouTube channel, and he put up some really cool stuff there where he kind of lets you behind the scenes and shows you how the environment that he works in. So one video that he put up was for Baldur's Gate 3, and it showed one of the enemies just going around this empty grid, but it showed how, from the perspective you were sitting at, how it tracks the audio depending on where the enemy was going. It was amazing. And then he's really cool too, Glenn, who owns Soundwizardry. He goes into the comments and he explains to people how he makes the stuff. Like, if I were him, I might want to keep that stuff like under my hat, but he's not like that at all, man. He's like, nope, these are the programs I use, this is the compression that I use, this is the sound that I started with, and it's awesome. Anyway, Soundwizardry.com is amazing. If you're not using them to create audio for your game, you're effing up. So go to Soundwizardry.com, hit them up. They've worked on several Game of the Year winners, Game of the Year contenders. They work on game audio. They work on AV stuff. Any audio need that you have, go to Soundwizardry.com. They are amazing people. Glenn is a top-notch dude. You will not regret working with them. They will make your project sing. Go to Soundwizardry.com. Now, let's play some Name That Game Tune, where I play 5 samples from a video game, and you try to name the game before this guy. A couple of things before we get going. If you've won this year, this calendar year, in 2025, do not play. You can only win once per calendar year. Also, the chat goes into slow mode, so don't spam the chat with a bunch of game titles hoping you're going to guess it right. You won't. You will lose. And then finally, please play PC games if you're going to play, because if you win, you get a free PC game. I don't want to buy a code and give it to you and just have it go to waste. You can even give it to a friend if you have a friend who plays PC games. I just don't want to flush my money down the toilet. So if you have no need for a PC game code, be cool and just don't play and let somebody else play who can win and will enjoy the code. Matt, you got the headphones on. Let me get your volume up. I think I have a good idea where to put it at this point. Basically, when I start hearing myself echo, right about there. Is that right?
Yeah.
And let me bring up Name That Game interface. Are you ready to go, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys ready to play Name That Game tune? Here's the first sample. In 3, 2, 1. I'll play it twice. Little Big Planet. Nope. That's good, AJ. But that's not it. That's funny. Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. No, that is not it. But maybe someday. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Nope. Star Wars Outlaws. No. Fallen Order. No. Jedi Fallen Order. Nope. Jedi Survivor. No. Not Respawn. I'll give you that right now. Any other guesses before we go to the second one? Going once. Going twice. Sold. Here's the second one. In 3, 2, 1. Play that one more time. Helldivers 2, no. Battlefront, no. Guardians of the Galaxy, no. Resistance Fall of Man, no. Also, don't forget, like, he just used Battlefront. Make sure you tell us which game in the series. You can't just name the game franchise. Battlefront 2, no. Battlefront 2 Classic, no. Jedi Outcast, no. Claire Obscure, no. That would be sneaky of me, though, wouldn't it? Bionic Commando, no. Hopefully you guys have all watched our live review of Claire Obscure. That's up for our patrons. That'll be up for everybody else here in the next day or so. Any last guesses before we move to the next sample? Going once. Going twice. Sold! Here's sample number 3. In 3, 2, 1. Portal 2, no. Zillion, no. That was a longer one.
Yeah. Psychonauts.
No.
Psychonauts 2.
Yep. We have a winner. There we go. Matt wins again, man. You are on a roll. Is that 4 out of 6 or something?
Well, I think it's more like 4 out of 8.
Is it?
Yeah. Because there was somebody won last week, and there was one where nobody got it, and there was another one where somebody else won.
Right. You're on a run, though. You're doing really well at this. What gave it away for you?
The pit pat.
Mm-hmm, the feet.
The feet, the footsteps.
I thought that one would give it away.
And I knew it wasn't Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't. I mean, I know why everyone was guessing stuff with lightsabers, but it wasn't Star Wars. So I had to think of something that sounded like that, but wasn't. And then for some reason, the pit pat plus the bubbly,
yep.
and the breaking something. I'm like, that sounds like Raz running away from something.
The feet is what I thought would give it away. The pitter patter of the feet. Here's the fourth one.
Ooh, I love going through the car wash.
And here's the fifth one. This definitely would give it away because Raz talks in this one. I wanted to make sure that somebody won.
I don't have a slow mode because I'm up against like 40 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, did anybody ever guess?
Nobody said Psychonauts.
Nobody ever guessed Psychonauts 2. Yeah. And look, we always err on your side. If you guys are close and it comes into the chat like a beat or two after Matt says the name of the game, we give it to you guys. We want you guys to win. That's the point. We want you guys to come, have fun playing, and then somebody go away with the prize. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. Matt, you are on a run, though. But also, you guys have not done as well as you usually do at this. Mm-hmm. Like, they've just not, you guys just haven't been landing it. So, unfortunately, that's the way it is. All right. Well, that's it for GameFace, episode 432, right here on Sifted Games at sifted.net. We are supported 100% at patreon.com/sifted. That's SIFTD. For $4 a month, you get all our content early. You get this show 4 days early, Pactor Factor a week early. You get all our other content at least 3 days early. If you pledge at the $7 or more tier, that ensures that Ask Shane Anything keeps going on. And if you don't have any money, you can still help us a bunch of ways. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can give us a free $2.50 every single month. You do have to redo it every month, and we'd appreciate it if you could do that. Everyone on SIFTD knows how to do this already. Everyone on Patreon knows how to do this already. But if you're watching this show on YouTube, go down below in the clip description. There's a step-by-step instruction on how to connect your Twitch account to your Amazon account. That takes like 5 minutes. And then after that, every month is just a couple clicks to give us $2.50. Again, that's free. And if you are not an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can still help us out in other ways. Like the show, comment on the show. I did notice more comments on the show this week, so thank you for who did that. Do it again. It makes a big difference. It helps our views. It helps our revenue. We would really appreciate it. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can just join us on YouTube and subscribe there. I will say this. Patreon's a slightly better deal because of the way they set up the pricing at YouTube. I couldn't give you guys quite the same exact deal as people get on Patreon. So Patreon's a better deal, but if you don't want to go over there, just join us right here on YouTube. And again, as I said earlier in the show, we're going to start streaming on YouTube here soon. So being a member and all that stuff will matter very soon. So anyway, thanks a lot to our chat. You guys are awesome. You make the show better every single week. We're here every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/SiftedGames, and we'll be here next week as well. So have yourselves a great week full of great games. GameFace is up and out.